And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to VIS. Finally, as we get ready here for VIS64 here. Ooh, slight delay here on my webcam. Let me get that fixed here real quick for you guys, as I don't want to have any issues. As I just picked that up right now. See if that fixed it. Yeah, that fixed it. All right. All right, everybody, welcome, and we are excited. We are getting ready for the Vainglory Challenge Series battles. These are the Challenger battles for Split 1 here in the spring season, and they are going to be shaping up to be incredible. I'm joined today by Dowsey over across the pond. Dowsey, thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure as always, Dragonborn. Super excited. We've got some great matches coming up today for these challenge battles, and you know what? We might see some new faces in the VG8.
We just might. It is definitely shaping up to be a really exciting season so far. Just so everyone know, we did have some technical difficulties earlier. Seems to be the day for it, but it looks like we got most of those sorted out and addressed. So hopefully we'll be able to get back here into the swing of things and get this all sorted out. Again, we apologize for these issues. So if you see a little hiccups here and there, we're ironing things out still. We should be able to get things rolling basically perfectly over the next couple of minutes as we get ready. We did have an awesome video by Humanists that we were hoping to show you guys, but that was really the sole culprit of some of our issues on my end, really, and a lot of it was on how we were handling it, so we apologize. We may not be able to show that for you guys right away. But let's talk a little bit about these teams that we have got going. Here is the schedule for everybody. As we take a look here, this is a pretty exciting schedule, actually, Dowsey. We've got Rogue versus Necrite first. Then we're going to be going down the Misfits One Piece 101, and then finishing today with Echo Fox Liberation X. Not saying we're saving the best for last, but that one definitely is going to have some fireworks, I think. And but going up to the couple matches here, what are some of the ones you're most excited for? Do you have any points you want to talk about these teams real quickly as we get ready here, Dowsey?
Hey, you've already mentioned it. Liberation X versus Echo Fox. You got the old blood versus the new blood. You know, the new organization on the street for Vainglory. It's Echo Fox trying to make their names, trying to make waves versus the first live championship finalist winners in Liberation X. So that's the matchup that I think just kind of speaks volumes of how great the Vainglory scene is, that you can have new blood versus the old blood, and actually, who knows who's going to win that series.
Absolutely. I mean, it could go either way. I mean, just so you guys know, my personal opinion, looking at these teams, all of these teams are strong.
Ooh,
but
are we doing your predictions?
But I do think that, you know, there's a natural favoritism here towards the Vainglory teams because they've been doing double band draft, as we kind of talk about real quickly, the format. They've been, you know, playing against the best teams. I think that, as a rule, it's very hard for these challenger teams to punch through. It's not going to be a quick, easy storm. And plus, this is best of 5. This really is going to be testing the stamina, and I think the Vainglory teams definitely have that. But I do think that these teams, these challenger teams, did play a lot of games to get here. So some of the things to talk about in the formatting side, we do have the format set at best of 5. So that means each series will be 5 total games if they go all the way to the end, or you have to win 3 first. And they will be the double band. And this is where I think it favors the Vainglory teams just a little bit, Dowsey, is that these teams have been playing the double band for a while. I do know that all of the challenger teams have been scrimming using the double band system, so it's not like they haven't played it. They've got the practice, but there's a little bit of advantage of just playing against the top teams using this system coming in here today.
Yeah, so that's it. The Vainglory 8 teams, they have experience on their side. Not only do they have experience, but they have experience in scrimming. They've been scrimming against the best Vainglory 8 teams in North America for weeks on weeks now. Whereas these Challenger Series teams, they're only really just starting to make waves. They have been making scrims. I've been, following the teams.
Right.
I've been talking to players, seeing what's happening behind the scenes, what people will allow me to know. And it does mean that some of these guys, they're newcomers to this. Maybe it's the first time they play against a VG8 team and scrim a VG8 team. And so there's that issue of, hey, one team has a lot of experience doing this, whilst the other team does not necessarily have that.
Correct, and so that's something that I think that you'll see weaks and strengths across these teams. I think the Vainglory teams, they're all coming down here with not a lot of points, but just to keep in mind, they've been playing against the best teams, and some of these teams having really hard schedules. Rogue with the most points, had a slightly favorable schedule, whereas Echo Fox and Misfits had a really tough one. They had to play both Hammers, Team, Solo Mid, or Cloud9, either 2 of the 3. In the case of Misfits, all 3 of them. And so you're talking about, all right, the 3 best teams in North America were playing against these teams, and they didn't get a lot of points in the first round of the matchup. So, you can imagine that, they're coming down here with not a lot of points, but that shouldn't speak to their actual skill set. All of these teams have really strong skill caps. They have really strong hero pools. And that means that, they really are in a good position here tonight. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. So let's get right into our very first matchup here in just a second. It is going to be Rogue versus Necrite. Rogue, the VGA team, and Necrite, the challenger team, coming in here. Necrite falling into the position of actually having the chance to get the most points, Dowsey.
Yeah, absolutely. Necrite came into this as the 3rd seed, which meant they got the scraps or whatever One Piece and Liberation X didn't want to play against. However, they've ended up in this series against Rogue. Now, Rogue is sitting nicely on 4 points, which means that if Necrite were able to take the series, not only do they gain Rogue's place in Split 2, but they also inherit those 4 points, which transfer to Split 2, which gives them almost the strongest position out of all the teams, just off the bat, to trying to make it towards that live final between NA and EU in London next month. So for Necrite, actually, along the line, if they can take this series.
Yeah, and so some of the things that I think we want to see out of here is one is Necrite. They do have heroes that they play really strong on. They have heroes that they, definitely prefer, and they are in meta. You'll see Vox's, Ringos. It's not a problem at all. I think the big standout here has been Riezgo. He's been playing phenomenally across the board here, really putting up some really good performances. And I think that overall, if they play their best game, they have a shot. But I've been talking to some of these players, to some of these teams, and Rogue, they really get a lot of they really don't get a lot of credit for the performances they put on, and it all really comes around Evol. Evol has been playing really well, and if you even watch their games in Vainglory 8, he's been able to really keep the team alive or prevent aces that were very pivotal against the best of teams. So you just have to imagine that, them coming in here, maybe they don't feel like a strong Vainglory 8 team, but they really are very, very strong, and they have a really good support, and that's really going to help them kind of push over this challenger team if that's what they are able to do today. So we're going to be getting into the draft here in just a second. I'm just checking with the teams to make sure everybody's in the draft, ready to go, and it does look like they are. So without further ado, let's start this right now, everybody, as we get in here for the first game in Challengers.
So my assumption is that Rogue is our A-side team coming from the VG8, just as I don't have graphics on my screen, and you can obviously tell me off if I've got that wrong. But Lyra is the first band coming through here in the draft, and that is no surprise. I expect that we'll probably get an Adagio response.
Right.
We do. So that's going to be the 2 most prioritized heroes in 2.2 taken off the bat. We are actually playing on 2.3 for those who are wondering. We're on the new patch here, Dragonborn.
Yeah, and that's a really important distinction from last week when we finished off Challenge Battles, and as well as Vainglory 8, they did play on tournament servers for 2.2. We are on tournament servers for this to help reduce issues with lag and whatnot, but the key here is it's a new update. There's a lot of changes, big changes to attack speed, and it's really starting to show there's actually ways where some heroes do attack a little bit faster with the new fix that was in place with 2.3, and because of that, that means that, these heroes have to play around their attack speed differently, itemize differently, as we get right into bonus time here. Necrite taking a little bit of time to think about their first pick.
They are taking a little bit. And this is the new bonus time system for those who have been, maybe living under a rock. We have bonus time here in the double draft ban system to allow for teams to kind of get used to it. And I actually think that our Challenger Series teams are probably going to be the ones utilizing this the most. So they're going to lock in Glaive here. Glaive was pretty much a very staple pick in 2.2 because you pick it early up here, Dragonborn, and you're allowed to flex it. You can actually put it in lane, you can put it in jungle, or you can put it into the rogue position. So because of that, it's a very great first pick because it actually doesn't tell the opposition where this team is prioritizing. So now that we've got both of these 2 first picks in, The second bans happened. B-side, they banned first. And now we go back over to Rogue to see what they're going to ban. Koshka here has the highest win rate in North America in VG8. She has, I think it's a 94% win rate over the entire of Split 1.
Yeah, and I like that's a second ban. You don't want to come out of the gates banning Koshka here. There's too much win potential with some of the other heroes. But I really do think that that's definitely a smart call to kind of, as you get to later rounds of the draft, to take away a very high win rate hero, a highly aggressive hero, especially from a team who's been playing up against it as Rogue. Rogue has been dealing with Koshkas or playing with Koshkas quite frequently, so they know how to play it and how to play into it. So for Necrite, no point even having to deal with it, take it right off the board.
Yeah, no, Wizards Sibs, or Sibs as he's now calling himself, has definitely been prioritizing the Koshka throughout the VG8, especially towards the end. And actually, this is the interesting thing about VG8, that I feel that all three of the teams that we currently have in our challenge battles coming down into this relegation series is they've actually improved a hell of a ton throughout the split. Perhaps week one, they were a little bit shaky. They lost points to teams that they shouldn't have based on the fact that, you know, they may be either equal or not close to even skill level. But as the season has gone on for all of these teams, it feels like they've really kind of started to work out some of the kinks in their armor and, you know, starting to work towards a stronger platform. And I think this is the part that a lot of people are going to underestimate the VG8 teams, because we see them playing against really tough opponents, and that makes it look like they're weak teams. However, the skill level between Challenger Series teams and VG8 teams, I have to assume, is visible. And this is where we'll really find out.
Absolutely. Rogue digging into their bonus time, looking to take a very cautionary approach to this pick here. Typically, you would expect maybe, since they have two picks, it doesn't matter if they pick this first or second, but you would expect to see a Ringo or some kind of laner come out to kind of solidify here. I think that they're really thinking about how they're going to play this lane position, and I'm curious to see if they pull something a little bit surprising here. As we get into 2.3, the meta has really changed quite a bit. They do pick the support Finn. Actually, this means that it's probably going to be a carry Lance. This is a bit of a surprise pickup here into this new update.
Certainly is. We see it a lot in Europe. There's definitely European teams that love to bring the Lance into the carry role. It's probably going to be jungle. I would make the assumption it's a jungle Lance, as it seems to be the most viable place to put it. However, a lot of people's questions were, with the attack speed changes, would we start to see a bit of a decrease in weapon power laners, and would we see more mages in the lane? Talking to some teams, they think that CP junglers are still so strong that you actually want to prioritize CP junglers, and Celeste is certainly a hero that you can prioritize in the jungle if it works. But it is risky, and especially when you're picking it on A side, you know, a Tucker could come in now from Necrolites, and that would just shut down. But we're going to get a Catherine. Still don't know where this is going. We've seen some jungle Catherine as well, so the likelihood we get a roam Catherine jungle glaive, but maybe Necrolites have something else in mind.
Maybe they're getting into their queue, into the match, as we get into this very first game here. And this is like really kind of interesting to see the Lance come back out in the carry position. It's going to probably be a weapon Lance with that Crystal CP Kestrel. I'm sorry, Celeste. I'm really excited to see Celeste. We've seen some Scarf play a lot, mostly in the jungle, but to be able to see that kind of come into the lane would be nice to see this kind of change in the meta. And with that, guys, we are able to get right into this first game here as we start off strong. And there you have it, the full composition for both teams into this first matchup.
Here we are. This is it. This is the first game of the challenge battles, guys. A best of 5 series to determine who are going to be in the VG8 for Split 2. Rogue, obviously, they're defending their spot against Necrolites, but Necrolites, they're no stranger to this, are they, Dragonborn? They've been in challenge battles a grand total of, I believe, 4 times in the career of this organization. Some of the times they've actually even made it into the VG8. So right now, they're looking for that redemption.
Absolutely here, and looking at this, you know, not too aggressive from either side to start off this series, as you know, it's kind of a removal from the early aggression we saw last update, as you kind of expect that from Rogue. They've got this CP Celeste, she's going to want to move into the late game, so they're not going to want to take any unneeded risks.
That's it. I expect if the European challenge battles were anything to go by, these teams are going to be sweating at Dragon. They're going to be very concerned that they do not want to allow any mistakes to affect their chances. You know, I'm perhaps hoping for a little bit more of a North American meta, a bit more diehard, if you will, with, you know, teams looking to execute on advantages that they can see. And I actually think that North American VG8 teams are fairly good at doing this when they do get advantages, so I'll be really interested to see how this one does go. But a bit of a jump in the jungle. Standing's trying to steal this Elder Tree in a way Sibs doesn't like it. He's going to root him. Now we've got to have Oriaizgo come down to try and fight for it. Who's going to get it? Going to go over to Necrolites.
Oh yeah, definitely not a bad pickup. I mean, they already have a slight gold lead. Their rotation pretty clean. Actually, a lot of this card comes down to just the way Standing Solo early on with this glaive will be able to jungle pretty effectively. Lance, a little bit slower here, but in the lane, Hammy doing a good job on Celeste, able to kind of keep a slight CS lead now so far over Junie. That should kind of even up here in just a few seconds, but you know, going up against the Vox, not surprising that it should be pretty close in CS, as you really don't expect either a Vox or a Celeste to have a lot of range and damage early on. It's going to be late game when they both start to really hit their peaks.
Yeah, this is going to be coming down to which team has superior positioning, which team is able to catch each other out. There's so much CC available, so much displacement as well on both these teams that the carries of Rogue and Necrolites are going to have to be on their tippy toes when it comes to trying to prevent being knocked away. And, you know, this is probably one of the most favorable matchups Hammy could have hoped for, as far as the fact that he's on Celeste. Vox can pressure quite early on, but it's probably going to find it difficult to pressure a Celeste based on the fact that she has so much range. She can farm from afar with the Helogenesis. Catherine can be a bit of an issue, but this Finn, he's not going anywhere when you go and try and knock him down. Hammy can play from quite far away, which actually makes the Catherine's job a little bit harder. So Rogue have drafted a fairly safe leaning you know, duo ship here. We'll just have to see if Hammy can remain safe when Standing Solo gets involved.
Yeah, we'll have to see here. Let's jump up into the lane here, take a look. 33 CS to 28, but a lot of that wave is being kind of frozen here. I actually like how Hammy's done a good job at just keeping the lane frozen, even with the Celeste here. Oh, but Standing Solo coming in from the backside.
Yeah, he's coming in. This is going to be a fight. Hammy's trying to get away from Standing Solo. He's taking a lot of damage, but on the same side, it's going to be First Blood. Sip's just picking it up, and now Standing's in trouble. He's going to fall. It's going over to Hammy. This is a great start for Rogue as they managed to ace the, well, not ace, dominate the team fight on all fronts. Just Rise go left, and he's going to take a bit of harass here from Hammy as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really good clean kill in the lane. And even though Standing Solo came in from the backside trying to get the surprise attack, at that point, he was just not going to be able to get far enough involved in that fight to make a difference. And the big difference is just Sibs already doing so much damage on this Lance early. You do want to do a lot of, you do want to be able to be a lot more aggressive here on the Lance. He's going to deal a lot of damage early on into the mid game, but then start to become more of a utility pick. So I kind of like the way Rogue's playing this, trying to be as aggressive as possible here with these fights.
And this is something that's quite interesting, and I've seen teams start to put a bit of priority onto it. Vox doesn't have the biggest of range as a weapon-powered carry. He needs to get in the face. Some teams have been trying to draft opponents, you know, carries that have lots of range, which makes the Vox's life a misery because he has to decide, does he want to go in? This is going to be a bit of bait. Hammy's going to bait in Standing Solo. Can they lock him down? He's going to dodge away from the Impale, but the core collapse connects. Standing Solo will take a bit of poke, but will be able to walk away. So you can kind of see here, Junie's stuck into a hard position, and that's actually why Necrolites failed to win their previous team fight, is because Junie tried to come in, but then a big beefy tank line of Evo on this Finn, Sibs on this Lance said, hey Junie, you don't want to be here, mate. And so he was forced back, which allowed Hammy to just do so much DPS from range.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really been the difference here. The big thing too is, like you said, because it's a weapon Vox, right now, Necrolite just has to play smart, and of course they do need to farm and scale to the late game, but you know, they can't go toe-to-toe, you have to realize the range of Hammy is actually going to be just a little bit stronger, and it's going to get even better as the game goes on. So they do have to be extra careful how they initiate these fights. So far, it's just been a little messy, but nothing that Necrolite can't come back from. They're even in gold, so if there's a silver lining for Necrolite, it's that 2 kills down, there's not a big gold disparity.
No, there isn't. In the kind of meta that we see right now is that unless you're getting, objectives for the kills, then the kills aren't necessarily worth too much to you. Or as long as you're, getting heaps of farm over your opponent, then actually it might become worth. But you look at the farm totals, and realistically, that's where Necrolites are making it all back up. They're actually fairly even on farm, if not ahead of their opponents right now. So, they're doing well. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the 2.3 meta shift on the Vox particularly, but there's some interesting builds coming out, Dragon, and I'm really interested to see if Junie's going to show us anything new. Something that East Asia has been kind of trialing with great success is this idea of a Serpent's Mask Vox, where he builds Serpent's Mask into Tornado Trigger and I believe a Breaking Point as well. And it seems to be doing quite a lot of work. It allows Vox to get a little bit closer and also sustain through the battle. EU's also been picking up a little bit. It looks like Junie's not going to go towards that build. I'm not sure if North America will like it as much, but it's definitely interesting, with the attack speed changes you mentioned earlier on 2.3 coming forward. Everyone's been trying new Vox builds.
Yeah, and the weapon build path as a whole has really changed. Let's take a look, though. We do see Sibs going after Standing Solo. One more Impale would have got him, but he doesn't have that up just yet, as it just comes off cooldown now. And he gets away. Yeah, I have to say that, the weapon paths really are up for debate. Now, obviously, Junie taking a 2.2 meta approach to it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, looking like as he's going to build out a Tyrant's Monocle next, and got that Breaking Point first. So what that means, though, is he will be doing a lot of damage, does have to get to the late game to really have that build come online. Really, it's the 2 Tyrant's Monocles together that typically makes it work. Unless he goes something different, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he's got that heavy steel, which indicates possibly a Sorrow Blade. Standing Solo going to dive in, though, but that was never going to, result in a full-on team fight. The Afterburn, just too long of range. Hammy too proactive in dodging it away. He does go back in. Right now, it's actually a poke game, and I like this from Necrolites. If they can just disengage, allow Standing Solo to do this over and over, Hammy's going to be in a position where he's in trouble. But wow, there's the ball to come on, there's the Solar Storm, and Necrolites all of a sudden they're on the run. Will Rogue be able to get a kill? It does not look like it. That is a fantastic combination, one in late fights that can really ruin Necrolite's day.
Yeah, it's actually really incredible that they didn't even get a kill off that, though, because they timed their ultimates. The pull, the Core Collapse did land, was blocked, though, on the second time around, but then the Solar Storm came out. You saw those health bars just drop, but Riesgo with that Fallon came in right in time, keeping his team alive, barely, as they do not go down. But it does allow Rogue to improve their jungling and farming position here, and this is definitely going to result, if ever slightly, a gold lead going over to Rogue. Or
yeah,
should,
that's the
anyways.
second item now picked up for Hammy. That's the Broken Myth on the Frostburn that he built earlier. And this is a position where I kind of think that if Rogue had that Broken Myth just a couple of seconds ago, then we would have seen some dead Necrolites. But as it stands right now, the gold stays even. Necrolites are still in a position where the game could technically go either way, but it does feel like Rogue are in the driver's seat, kind of dictating the tempo.
Right, very, very slight Goldie. I mean, actually, Necrolite actually retaking it. They're just doing such a good job farming, even with that pushback. Rogue wasn't able to get that much from it. They actually were only able to get those bottom 2, the Treant in the mid Treant, and then the bottom 2 shot minions, and that did not result in enough. And also, not a whole huge loss here. So you can actually see it finally materializing because of some of that lost wave in the lane. Is about a 500 or 300 or 400 gold lead.
Rogue, they're looking for a fight here. They've got their ultimates available, and Standing Solo is taking a huge chunk of damage, but as is Hammy. Will they go for it is the question. Evo's just looking for the opportunity. Standing goes back in. Oh, he's knocked into the turret. That's a huge amount of damage. That's him going down. Solar Storm comes out, but it's already Sibs with the kill credit. Now they're looking to see if they can't lock Junie down as well. It's going to be a turret push. They have a lot of turret taking ability, but the minion wave has been dispersed. So at the moment, Rogue's struggling to find an entry point. And actually, that bubble, this Storm Guard, is doing a lot of double for Rogue. They're taking a lot of damage from each Heliogenesis, so they're forced to fall back.
Right, and they're not even able to recall at this point, even with Hammy a little bit low. He does have a Frostburn Broken Myth first, so no Eve yet, although it's probably going to be a second item, as they look to kind of move in here, pushing back. The lane being able to stay pretty much midpoint. We actually haven't seen any team aggressively push down these turrets down, with Rogue having the first chance to do damage on the turret between both teams, and not being able to do too much just yet. Credit to Necrite, but like you said earlier, it does feel like Rogue a little bit more in the driver's seat as far as how they're dealing with these team fights. They're behind in gold again, just because of how quickly Standing Solo is able to clear out these jungles thanks to that Storm Crown. But not able to, they're not able to really get much for this gold lead because Rogue has just done such a good job at dealing with lane pressure, at dealing with team fights.
This gold mine is going down quick. Looks like Standing might be able to secure it, but it will go to Necrolites. Will they survive is the question. Good block. Standing will be able to walk away, but can I say the same for Riesgo? He is running. He is diving. Does look like he might be able to dip out of this one. Impale comes forward. Oh, the root. Can they get the kill, though? Core Collapse. Is it available? It is. That's him locked down. This should be a kill for Rogue, and now they're in a position where they could actually force the turret. Gonna see Sibs dive in with the Impale. Junie, well, he's forced into a position where he has to be right at the back. Standing's gonna come in. He dives forward, knocks Hammy out of the way. There's the wait for it, but Junie, he's gonna take a bit of damage in return. Looks like he might even go down for it. There's a Helogenesis. Hammy going low, Standing trying to find the kill, but he's going to be taken out, not able to do it. The fountain keeps Hammy alive through it as well. Rogue finds their 5th kill, a 3rd onto Hammy, but the turret, it still remains.
Oh yeah, very well positioned by the entire Rogue team to not allow either any members to go down. Really, hats out to Evil, man. And this is where Finn's really good. If you stay close to the Finn, there's a downfall if it was a CP box, but because it's a weapon box, the punishment for staying very close together is not as great. And then he's able to use that fountain in the nick of time to keep his team around, and then Plague Company helps him. So just the burst damage coming out of Standing Solo, not enough to take down Rogue's carries.
No, it's almost a troubled time for Rogue that, you know, they're getting these kills, but they're not converting them into any objectives. Something that I would expect out of all teams here in this challenge battles, Rogue to be able to do so. So, you know, they're close. They've definitely set that turret up into a position where I expect it to be going down shortly, but they haven't hit that point yet. Perhaps they're waiting for this Eve of Harvest on Hammy before they execute fully. They don't want to put Hammy in a position where he's in trouble. We'll have to see. But, you know, team's going to be making their way back into the lane very shortly. Standing's actually caught by himself. The Afterburn used defensively to escape. Yeah,
he did some damage on the Sibs, not really a whole lot, and ended up having to back away. He was really debating whether he even wanted to come up from this backside. It's not been working out. They've gotten some damage, they've gotten some surprise attacks, but it really hasn't resulted in anything like a kill for this matter, because it's 5-0, and they haven't been able to find something to work here on the side of Necrolite. And I do see where their strategy is. They are trying to get that surprise burst and stun. Of course, having the Catherine does help there as well. But right now, Rogue's played very well into this composition, not being able to deal the kind of damage they were hoping maybe early. But they're a late game composition, so that's all right.
Yeah, no, that's it. They're kind of in this position where they're like, all right, we haven't found an objective yet, but we do have late game, so maybe it does not matter. But Sibs is trying to secure his jungle, is going to be able to do so. Standing, making his way over. It's going to be Evil coming on forward. Means that Standing will be forced to afterburn defensively once more. I kind of just wonder when this point comes. Hammy, he's got this Eve of Harvest. Surely this is the kind of time when you're looking to make a play, because every minute that they're not looking to make a play, well, Necrolites, they're also growing strong. This Vox is scaling up. He's got his Sorrow Blade. He's got his Broken Point. Oh, Standing almost got the gold miner before the Kraken came online. You know, this Vox is getting to a position where he's actually going to have damage. You kind of wanting to force him into a position where actually you're in a lead before that comes online.
Right, and I think the big difference here between the two compositions is really when you look at the jungle. It's a Lance, which you know is going to lose some of that the damage, the output he can do in favor of over to the Glaive, but you know, even though he loses a little bit of an edge, where I think the advantage is in favor is with Rogue, is that Celeste, that Crystal Celeste, when she starts to come in, and she's got 3 items. I'm surprised they haven't played any of their power spikes here, really not being aggressive as they probably could be here. We have only seen one effective Forced Accord that resulted in anything significant, and they weren't able to get a kill off of that. So right now it's just been kind of a very close series. One that I think Rogues had control over, but they haven't been able to get those objectives, and they're going to start running out of time where they have a clear advantage in composition.
Well, we're going to see a fight once more, and this time this should result in a kill. Standing's taking a lot of damage. Oh, Ria's go. He's going to be forced to use the fountain. Oh, what a forced accord. Junie pulled right in, and he's going to get rooted up. Solar Storm to secure the kill, and that's trouble for Necrolites. Here it is, Rogue. They found their feet. Now they're sailing. Can they get a second kill onto Standing, or will this just be a wild goose chase? Looks like Rogue are opting in for the latter of those 2 options. They're going to let him go, but they've got their turret. Actually, they're not letting him go at all. It's going to be Sibs pushing on in, looking for the kill, but Standing once more does run. This Kraken's up and Ria's go. He's trying to get the vision down. May lose his life, though, for it, as this is going to be locked down on him. Helogenesis not able to find the kill, though. Sibs is going to let Standing recall, which means that Rogue possibly not going to get as much for that, but it is this relegation / promotion tournament we're playing here, Dragon. These matches mean more than anything that these teams have experienced so far this split. If you lose a single match in a best of 5, that can really hurt your tempo going forward.
Absolutely, and actually I have to say that Rogue's playing this fairly well. Although you'd want to see more aggression from Sibs, I think he's kind of got stuck from being able to play that more aggressive lance just because you had the glaive pressing and clearing so quickly that, you know, he's able to clear out his rotations fast enough and get in position with his team to deal with, you know, the lance invading. So, but that turret, that's a huge momentum push in favor of Rogue, and now you're going to see just exactly like that. Celeste is going to be outputting a lot of damage, and her timing on that was really well too. She waited to use her ultimate until she had a few broken myth stacks, and then of course just deleted Junie, who was not able to withstand that. And of course getting pulled there, huge problem. He needed to be able to pull out a reflex block, because we've got another stun going through, double stun on Riesgo as he's not able to make anything happen.
Yeah, Junie's in trouble as well. Sib's trying to put down the pressure, but he's able to escape. Solar Storm just grazes Riesgo. The Forced Accord not going to connect here. Necrolites are alive for now, but how long can I say that, as Riesgo actually going to be the sacrificial lamb, allow Junie and Standing to escape. Rogue turning attention onto the Crystal Sentry, but Junie's trying to stack up his breaking point. They do drop much quicker here in 2.3, so you have to keep attacking. Oh no, he stepped too forward, but they are going to lose Sibs in the process. Standing solo doing the work on this CP glaive. He's going to look like Evol might be falling as well, as actually it's going to be Hammy not able to escape. He has to get some regen, he needs some energy. He throws out the Helogenesis, and here comes the wait for it. Hammy alive, silence, but can he get the kill? Yes, he can, onto Standing. A 2 for 2, very, very sloppy, and actually it's the low energy bars on this Celeste that have caused Rogue not be able to find too many kills. Maybe they find this onto Junie. He's trying to escape. Does he have the speed? There it is, the Sonic Zoom, the boots, they come online. He will be able to secure his life.
Yeah, unbelievable. Plus, if you saw the reflexes of Junie when he saw the Solar Storm coming, he actually dodged it and only took a few shots. It would have completely changed what happened there in that 1v1. So Rogue overextended. They stayed too long. They didn't need to. They had all the momentum in their favor. And those 2 kills going over to Necrolite, that's a big motivation for them. They're still behind in gold, but not by a lot. Only 1,000. So, you know, being able to finally make something happen here for them, it's definitely a really good sign for Necrolite, and a little bit of a misplay. I have to say that they just, you know, when you've got this Junie hitting hitting double digits on that breaking point stacks, you're going to have a problem. Oh, but huge pull.
Whoa, huge pull comes forward. Junie now fighting for his life, Standing solo, he makes space, he pushes Hammy back, and Junie's getting a little bit confident. He's got the breaking point stacks, he's starting to get there, but can they find the kills onto Hammy? Riesgo dives on in, there's an Impale of Doom, that's going to be a kill, and a second going over to Rogue as they find Junie, they find Riesgo, it's only Standing left alive. Now they're feeling confident here. They're going to attempt to go for this Kraken, but they have to take down Standing. Standing, he has his afterburn. No, he doesn't. It's not up for another 2 seconds. Can he escape? He cannot. The ace, it is secured. Rogue, they find it, and then that Kraken is theirs.
Oh, man. Hammy, he's been doing so much damage here, but really well executed. That Evol with the pull from the bush, blindsiding. It was kind of just a real shocking pull considering both teams were in bushes, so you don't have a lot of good vision on the enemy team there. Just getting, thankfully, thanks to scout traps, a good idea of where the enemy teams are. Vision playing a huge role, and that single-handedly has really secured Rogue in a great spot for this game. It's not over yet, but you have to imagine with this Kraken pushing, they should be able to close this match out.
Yeah, no, you would expect so. For those who are interested in Europe, I have confirmation that we have a new face in the European VG8. As Fluffy Chickens were able to take the series over Denial 3-2, so some great news for them, a new face in the VG8 over in Europe. But now we'll have to see if the North American guys can find some success as well. Currently Rogue, they have the tempo, that's going to be a good Crucible coming forward to block up that Force Accord. But the Kraken, she's made her way down the lane. This turret not going to last very long as those Helo Genesis start to stack up. That's it, gone. Now Necrolites, they need one fight to win the game, or survive the game.
Oh yeah, and they're trying to just take this Kraken down, doing a good job. Kraken's almost dead, so they're not even going to lose a single crystal turret. But look at Rogue looking to try to come in here. Standing Solo going in consistently. He takes so much damage as he tries to go in and push back the Rogue here, and does a good job at it. Rogue thinking about maybe a surprise pull here. Oh, they do get the pull, stun, core collapse. Junie almost deleted. Having to back out.
Like the Serpent's Mask build may have kept him alive. He's still alive, surprising. Actually, Hammy, he's too far in. Hammy, he's still alive. The Fountain comes forward amazingly, but Standing Solo trying to do his best to find the kill. How is he alive? Do not know. I guess it's the Eve doing work. He might just lose his life now. No core collapse to secure it. That's enough damage to keep him alive. They haven't found a kill, surprisingly, here, Rogue, because Hammy has been on the back foot the entire time, and he actually
there's a kill.
Dives on forward with his Aftershock and gets that. May have given up his life. Blast Shot comes up, but no, Standing! What is this damage on the CP Glaive? Not known for it, but right now he's making it work. It means Evil now in trouble as he's going to get slowed on down. The, polite company to keep him alive for now, but can it keep him alive is the question. Standing goes over the wall, probably by mistake, but he's still going to keep the chase up. Quibble, Rizgo going to go low, but it is going to be that ace for Necrolites. Amazing stuff. Standing, keeping them in this.
Unbelievable turn on an event, and I don't know if you guys caught it with that silence coming out from Rizgo. It prevented Sibs from being able to use any abilities whatsoever to try to catch those very, very weak Standing Solo. Like Standing Solo and Sibs were both about the same health, both very weak. And of course, the Lance is known. He's able to chain his abilities and do a surprising amount of damage in a short amount of time. Was unable to, thanks to Rizgo silencing him. That alone definitely gave Standing Solo the time he needed. Another afterburn in, and this is really allowing Necrolite to come back into this game, taking the gold lead back from Rogue.
I'm not sure gold lead means anything right now, Dragon. We're at that 47k mark where items have been completed. Double Sora Blades on the Lance, a Shiver Still as well, just to get that slowed down. Almost full builds on everyone here. Right now it comes down to who can sustain the team fights, who can dish out the damage. Well, we've seen that Necrolites, they have it in them to do so. Standing Solo, he's a threat that Rogue will have to deal with. You can't just take down Junie. This game has just had a lot of interesting developments all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it's going to be good turning completely around. And really huge pull. They're going to be able to take Rizgo out of this likely as he's just trying to dodge all this damage. He's waiting for his team knows they come in just in the nick of time. And Rizgo able to finally use that Fountain to keep himself alive here as his team looked to go in. Kraken, though, dealing damage, actually doing damage on the side of Necrolite. So this is a huge win here so far for Rogue. They just need one nice reflex block from that Impale, keeping them alive. They're just going to have to get out of dodge.
Yeah, it's going to be Necrolites escaping, not really a chance for Rogue to chase them down. However, they are going to use this opportunity to start the Kraken up and force Necrolites to come to them. There's vision. Rogue know that they're here. They're going to try and lock down Standing or lock down Junie and just keep them out of the fight. That Force Accord's back up and it's going to be dodged out by Junie. Standing, though, he might have the same fate. Core Collapse doesn't connect. Impale does. The roots there, and there's the Solar Storm. That's the shutdown that they needed. That leaves just Junie to try and defend this Kraken in almost a ditch or die scenario. It's going to be almost impossible as here comes that Helogenesis. He's going to get engaged on reflex block and a run to try and escape. Rogue, though, he may have just bought enough time to stop them doing this Kraken. Let's see. Rogue reinitiating here. Junie, what's he going to do? He's going to fall back. So Necrolite's going to give this Kraken up. Now we have to fight over it.
Oh man, and that was really nice positioning and dodging out of Impales, but when an Impale hits, Hammy commits to it with that Solar Storm, and that's really helped him a lot. Oh, but here comes Riezgo. Catherine is up. She's going to be able to try to time her abilities here. Can Riezgo do it?
Blast Tremor. Oh, it's a silence onto Evo. Nice stuff. Let's see if the item silence is enough. Blast Tremor comes out, but it doesn't secure it. There's this Rogue finding the Kraken in the end. Now they are just going to try and fall back, maybe even take Riezgo down in the process. Forced Accord, it will not be able to connect. Riezgo just dipping and diving, dodging and weaving as he is able to survive for now. But here we go. Rogue, they're low. Look at Evol. He does have Life String, so he will be able to start healing some of that up, but you can't say the same for Sibs just yet. So this fight over the Kraken may not just be a fight. Perhaps here for Rogue, they're in a position where they can't actually go too ham as their health bars aren't great. But they are going to put the pressure down. That's going to be Standing Solo diving on in, looking for some damage onto Sibs. Junie, wait for it goes out as well. He's going to try and lock someone down as Standing Solo dives in once more. Good call, collapse, locks Riezgo down. Solar Storm connects onto everyone. The fountain from Necrolites to try and keep it alive, but it's a forced accord and Junie pulled into it. He's got nowhere to run. He's going to fall down for sure. I say that as he walks away. Auto attack might secure it. It will secure it from downtown, the longest auto attack of my life. And that does mean with Standing Solo falling, the Kraken in the base, this should be Rogue taking game one.
Absolutely, and it's huge victory for Rogue as they almost lost the edge there, and definitely a little bit surprising based on how they played earlier. You think with a 5-0 win advantage or 5-0 kill advantage with a Celeste in the late game, you're really going to see it surprise. But Necrolite finds a way. Good dodging. I mean, there's so many things they had to dodge there. They had to make sure they blocked Impales, core collapses, and Impales. And it's just so much that they were counting, and they almost did it, just not enough to get that victory. And so with that, it is going to be Rogue getting the first win of our challenge battles this split. But really, I think that, just taking a look at how they played this game, how they performed overall, they played really solidly. Just one overextension, one overstay did result in Necrolite getting back into this matchup. I think that you take away that, and I think, Rogue had a much easier path for victory this time around. But definitely really good first early result here on the side of Rogue.
Yeah, certainly. It's what it's expected. I think you are right a little bit there, Dragonborn, in the sense that you would expect them to have done maybe more with their advantages. But these games mean so much. Teams, they're going to, play as safely as possible as they don't want to give up any advantages to their opponents. And that's kind of being showcased here by Rogue. They played a very safe game, almost threw some advantages away. Because of it, I want to see a little bit more confident play as we go into game two.
Yeah, we'll have to see in just a little bit as we do get ready for this next matchup in just a few seconds. We are going to take a quick break, though, as we do try to just iron out some few more small little technical details. You guys might have seen it during the game. Once we get that all ironed out, though, we should be good to go here as we just try to balance everything, make sure you guys are bringing you the best stream possible. So quick break here. We'll be right back after the break. All right, everybody, we are back. Apologize for any of those technical difficulties you guys are experiencing. We're trying to make sure we get that all worked out, but unfortunately, it looks like till now we'll just have to make do with what we got. But going right in, we're getting ready for game number 2. Just need a little bit of time for these teams to get ready for the second game draft. I think they're all ready. I'm going to just check real quick. But this was, wow, what a matchup, game 1, because Necrite looking to make the comeback, but Rogue said not today here. So as we take a look at how it all played out, Rogue, of course, gets the win after almost giving up an ace and almost giving up another Kraken, but finding a way to secure a nice team fight around Kraken. I think, Dowsey, the big thing was how they played it, right? They were committing to the Kraken. They wanted it, but they weren't putting themselves in a position where it was going to get stolen.
Right, that's exactly it. As soon as they saw that Necrites were coming back in to contest, they disengaged, they looked for the fight, they forced a chord, pulled them in, stunned them up, made sure that it was a very difficult task. After they took down Standing Solo, Junie was in a position where he was like, oh, well, I can't really steal it by myself. I'll have a go, but I can't commit to it. I actually am very impressed by Necrite's play there, Dragon. That was a long game, a game that Rogue, by all means of the measure, should have dominated. But Necrites actually had a lot of flair to them. Something that I think if Rogue do not contain will become an issue as this series goes on. Because Necrites should have never been in a position where they were constantly looking like they could come back.
Absolutely. And they constantly were able to find ways to make it happen. To close out those fights. I think the big difference was just how Rogue played team fights as a whole. They were very synchronized in team fights. A little bit messy on some of the rotations, and I think they had one overextended play where they stayed too long, but other than that, team fight wise, they just timed things very well. Impales with ultimates following it, and when they did get forced to chords, it looked like the whole team was ready for it, and that was really important. You talk about Evolve has been that standout support for this team, really kind of holding them together, and we saw it there today in this first matchup. So we're gonna get ready for the second one in just a second, as we do just check with the teams and make sure they're ready for draft for game number 2.
Going to be very interesting to see if we see another Celeste come forward for Rogue, if that's just like a one-time strategy. I kind of feel like that possibly was the issue for Rogue. The sustained damage wasn't as much. They had a lot of burst, but it did allow for Necrites to, kind of combat that with sustained damage from Vox, a bit of burst from Glaive. This next draft is going to be very crucial as to how dominant I think Rogue can be in fights if they get a lead. I hate being the person that says it comes down to draft, because I genuinely don't believe that a game is won and lost entirely in draft. But I do think that Rogue made things hard for them based on the compositions they did play with.
Yeah, I think they will. We're going to be getting into this next matchup here now in just a few moments. As looks, we got the draft already started, and it is going to be a Finn ban from Necrite. That's really interesting. Definitely, obviously, as a result of that Finn play from Evol, Rogue's going to go with the ban on the healer. This means that Lyra is going to be up. Necrite takes it right away.
Yeah, it's going to be, as you said, the Lyra available, and that's a huge pickup for the side of Necrites. She's still so strong as the dominant healer of patch 2.3 here. A huge drafting pickup for Necrites, but it's not the end of the world. There's certainly ways that you can play around it. Poison Shiv has become a much stronger item in 2.3, so I expect that depending on the picks that we get from Rogue, that we can get a Poison Shiv built somewhere. Very surprised to see a Celeste ban from Necrites. I'm not entirely sure it's necessary, but hey, Glaive was banned, so perhaps they thought, Glaive was actually our only real answer to Celeste, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah, and I think that's so fascinating to see Necrite, just the differences in strategies on how they deal with it. I mean, we do see a Glaive ban. Necrite played the Glaive really well, but Necrite's bans are directly a response from Game 1, so they completely looked at Game 1 and said, all right, we don't want to go against those again, but it leaves the draft open for Rogue, and I actually think this helps Rogue here, is now they've got a lot of picks here. We see them, they actually go for the Gwen, so no Vox pickup, which I think is a little surprising, but Gwen has really resurged in 2.3 here as a very strong, stable weapon power carry in the lane.
Yeah, certainly is. Very interested as to what build. Some teams been experimenting with tension bow, others going down a little bit more sustained damage. I feel like we'll probably see a tension bow today, as that's what we're kind of seeing across regions on Gwen. Probably second item, but perhaps first, depending on if Rogue are trying to prioritize early burst, especially if they have that lance in the jungle once more. Currently, Necrolites, they're eating into their bonus time here in the double band draft. They've picked up their captain, their roam. Now they need to lock in their carry and jungler. Junie going to be sticking to the Vox. Makes sense. I think he's still in a fairly good place. But who they pair with Junie is the big question. It's going to be quite clearly a CP jungler. We have the likes of Koshka open. She wasn't open in the previous draft. Perhaps maybe not the best pick since that, you've got this skedaddle on Gwen, Samuel, range, sustain. I think that's a good pick.
I think it's a really good pick too, and I really think that they're looking to try to get that damage. But right now, I think Rogue has the possibility here to make the difference maker. Letting Necrolite get the Vox, I thought was just surprising, but clearly Rogue has a plan because Gwen has not really been something we've seen in the past meta, the past update. It's something we've seen more recently, and look at that, lands Gwen Koshka. This is really familiar to a composition we saw play maybe a few months ago on stage at Worlds. Too much effectiveness here. Curious and kind of excited to see it kind of come back here on this stage here in Challenge Battles.
Yeah, I said it might be a good pick. The problem with Samuel on A side is that Samuel has the potential to be counterpicked. A Taka could come in, a Koshka could come in, lots of different answers. And actually, this is a composition that we saw Rogue play last week in their third place decider match against Starting all over, Hammers. They were up against Hammers. And it was the Gwen Koshka Lance, exact same composition. It was played against a slightly different composition from Hammers, a Saw, I believe it was, with a Kestrel and Lyra, so a little bit different, but a lot of range there as well. We'll have to see if Rogue can make it work today.
Yeah, we're going to be getting in the game in just a second here, as we do wait for just a quick second. We are trying to get some stuff actually kind of fixed here over on the desk. So we got the draft done. We're going to be jumping into this matchup just a few moments.
So it is the second game, guys, of this best of 5. Yep, 5 games here for the challenge battles. It means that we definitely get the right team going forward out of the series that we're playing. And let us not forget, not only are these teams playing for a spot in the VG8 here, Dragonborn, they're also able to steal the points from the team they're playing against. So for Necrolites, they're going up against Rogue. Rogue, the only team in challenge battles with points. If Necrolites are able to take the series, they will inherit the points of Rogue, 4 points. Rogue is currently in 6th position as well, which means that out of all of the VG8 teams in challenge battles, Rogue is the team that is currently looking the best to be qualified for London. So Necrolites, a huge chance if they're able to take the series of making it to the unified finals, but first they have to make it there, and that's the trouble. Rogue are currently 1-0 up.
Yeah, and so we're going to get a quick restart here as we try to actually get this match. Had to fix a few small things. We should be able to get out of this and get back into it in just a few seconds, though.
Alrighty, no worries. So, couple things. Rogue, yes, they won the previous game, but Necrolites, they look strong. Necrolites looked like a team that could have taken that from under Rogue's feet, iconic cartoon, the rug is there and it's just stolen right from underneath you. So I want to see Rogue a little bit more dominant play. I know they're capable of it. I know, the kind of teams that they're scrimming are very capable of running away with an early lead, and Rogue, at least Evil has said, this is what we're trying to bring into our game style. So it's something that for Rogue, they definitely have the, jigsaw pieces available to them, Dragonborn. But right now, I'm not quite seeing the picture that they're putting together.
Yeah, we'll have to see kind of how it plays out. I mean, I actually kind of I like the rogue composition here. I think that it's going to be really aggressive early, and I think it's going to has the potential to snowball. They just have to be careful. That Samuel poke is going to become really difficult to handle late game, the sustain that Samuel can have. So you got to get on him. Just commit to it. I think that what I really liked out of Rogue was their ability to focus, right? They were able to focus in team fights, commit to it, and time their abilities really well so that, you know, they were able to get those fights where they were just annihilating someone. Fountains weren't even able to be effective, and that's something that I think, you know, really watched. The difference here is I really like to see Rogue play to their power spikes earlier on and not wait for the game to get really late where a mistake costs you so much.
Yeah, not only a mistake. Right now we've got a team that has a fantastic late game in the form of Necrolites. You know, they've got this Vox, they've got this Samuel. If the fights start to stack up, if they can sustain their damage throughout it, well, they've got a huge chance of just dishing out tons of damage. Rogue, they've got a little bit more early game on their side. This Gwen, a lot of early game burst will have it, especially if she builds Tension Bow early. The Koshka, as soon as she hits level 6, becomes a huge threat for both Samuel and Vox to deal with. And even before then, if Sibs can play an aggressive jungle play style, steal away camps from the Samuel, there's almost nothing he can do. Let us not forget, we've got Evo on this land, playmaking captain for sure. So lots of opportunities for Rogue. They're currently 1-0 up in this series as we jump onto the fold here, Dragon. If they can get this victory, then they're only one game away from securing their VG8 spot.
Yeah, and they definitely are, I think, posed to do so here. Really going to be interested. I mean, the only real huge leverage I think Necrite have here is with this Lyra and having the Samuel, they're going to have a lot of sustain in these fights. So if they can withstand the start of the fight, you know, the first 2 or 3 seconds when you're going to see so much damage coming out of the side of Rogue, if they can live through that, I expect them to actually have a chance at winning these fights later into the game. But early on, they've got a big task in front of them as they deal with this aggression that I really expect Rogue to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you can kind of see that Sibs, Evil, they're starting to roam. They're even bringing Hammy with him just in case. Gonna have to see if there's a bit of fight over this Elder Treant. Sibs starting to make his way towards standing solo. Evil's in this bush, bit of taunt BM comes out, Sib's going to take the bait as well. But I say take the bait, look at the damage he's laying down. Impale, it doesn't connect, that could have just been First Blood secured. Strike then right now, doesn't matter, Sibs will find it, now he's on the run. In the lane, it doesn't look like we're going to see anyone roaming down just yet. Riasgo trying to find the kill onto Sibs. He's in the bush. He looks like he should port back, and he is going to get the port back as well. So, First Blood comes forward for Rogue, and some early aggression paying off.
Yeah, and that definitely really went the way, almost barely going in favor of Rogue as they get that early kill. The big thing is the Samuel, once he hit level 2, was able to get some of that sustained and deal a lot of damage back at the Koshka. So I think Evolve missing that Impale actually kind of hurt, almost resulted in the first kill going over to the side of Necrolite. But instead, they got it. Then moving ahead here, and what I've really been impressed though is just Necrolite does not allow Rogue to get any kind of gold lead here. Even the lane doing such a good job with farming already.
Yeah, exactly, right? You know, even though that was all happening, the gold hasn't really swung anywhere. You're going to see Sibs look to try and steal some away, but standing solo and knows this is happening and is trying to regain some losses in the opposite jungle. Sibs, nothing to gain just yet. Standing solo has been spotted out, so Evo's not going to be tricked into anything just yet, but right now these junglers have kind of switched positions. This doesn't look too bad, you know, it's kind of like, oh, what are they doing over there? But actually, this could be very risky for Standing. Right now, it seems fine, he's getting the back camps, but if Rogue were to, as one, start roaming down towards where Standing Solo is, a potential kill could come forward.
Yeah, so, you know, we'll have to see how that all plays out here. Right now, Hammy looking to go aggressive, but I like how Lyra used that bulwark just in time, prevented the Koshka from being able to latch onto Junie, keeping Junie alive just a little bit longer. And that's kind of where you'll see the Lyra pick really working out. Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, Sibs goes really low, doesn't lose his life, just sitting on barely 100 HP. Able to escape Riasgo, walked into a bit of trouble there after the failed turret dive. That was a potential mistake, just about avoided. A little bit of luck, I think, there more than anything for Rogue. These are the mistakes. You can't allow Necrolites to do it. This team has shown that they are definitely one to fear. They have the potential to take games, upset games as well. So I wouldn't be playing with fire if I was Rogue.
Yeah, right, and that's something that, we'll have to kind of keep and watch, see how it all plays out. As Sib's really being a little too aggressive. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You need to be aggressive. You need to push that advantage, but you can't do so. You actually kind of saw the rest of his team really wasn't close enough to back him up in that engagement, which he almost lost his life for.
Yes, almost being the keyword. I guess if nothing comes from it, then theoretically nothing lost either. Tension Bow is going to be our first item for Hammy. And you said it already, Dragon, that Rogue, they're going to have heaps of burst in the team fight, and that's what they're going to be betting on. Can they burst Samuel right out of the team fight? Can they burst Vox right out of the team fight before it starts? With an Impale into a Yummy Catnip Frenzy into, the Boomstick burst, as well as Tension Bone, there's certainly lots of avenues available to them, but I guess we're going to see very shortly if this works for Rogue.
Yeah, so far it's been a really even matchup, even in gold. Just one kill going over to Rogue, as they are not able to take advantage of this nice aggressive push here. So, not able to really take advantage, I think, of the Koshka pick so far. And I think this plays into Necrolite's hands, as you're going to see it becoming even harder and harder to play aggressively as they get farther and farther in this game. Especially standing solo on this Samuel, it will be able to just, with a Lyra on his side, really hang tight and hang in fights for a long time.
Yep, we're going to see this ultimate come out. Sibs is ready for it. He goes straight on in and actually going to lock him down. Can they burst him out? Junie, he's sustaining. And that's going to be Sibs falling down. The fountain, the heals from the Lyra just make the burst so hard if you don't have the damage. And now Evo is at risk of losing his life as well. Looks like it will be 2 kills going over to Necrolites as Hammy is forced under his turret. The burst game just does not work, and Necrolites pull 2 out of the bag.
Wow, and big turnaround here for them as they've taken a substantial gold lead. This is probably the biggest gold lead we've seen at the 6-minute mark here between these two games. And this is going to allow them to start capitalizing on it. The big challenge here is just the way you're going to have to play Koshka into the Lyra means you really can't jump in. You're almost playing a poke game, similar to how Standing Solo did, right? Surprise them, get some damage, and get out of there. Because getting locked down, that catnip, Yummy Catnip Frenzy pushes you underneath the turret for such a long time. You're going to take 2 shots at least, and that, of course, resulting in his demise, as they need to be a little bit more careful on how they position those engagements.
Yeah, certainly. Cannot be allowing yourself to just take that amount of damage from the turret and not be able to sustain through it. It's definitely a hard task, Skips. He's prioritized a lot of shielding early, even got cooldown. Finally, the off-shot completed. I feel like that was kind of the difference between finding a kill in the previous engagement and not finding one, as it turned out. Maybe Rogue looking for a second chance here as they're trying to set up Necrolites. They've pushed very aggressively, so there's nowhere to run, no turret to keep Necrolites safe. Sib's going to start making his way up into this mustache bush. There's the Impale. It's going to be Junie aggressed onto, blocks up the Aces high, but can they get away? Rogue looking to re-engage. A good Yummy Catnip Frenzy. Oh, it's a lot of damage onto Standing Solo, and Sib skips away. Impale, Junie in trouble. They're looking for the kills, but they can't find them, Rogue. Ria's go, keeping Junie alive with that Imperial Sigil. Rogue, they're so low, but they're still looking for more. Buckshot and an auto attack. Here comes the engage, and Sibs will find the damage. It's just Ria's go, looking to try and escape. Portal out to safety as Rogue find 2.
Yeah, and I really think that was a big miscue by Necrolite here. You're going up against the Koshka. The burst is too great that you can't go in there. The Sigil wasn't able to heal enough to keep Riezgo at a level where he could survive a jump on. And of course, we didn't see a Bulwark out fast enough. Because he's really low on energy, so he wasn't able to use it. This allowed Koshka to get that kill, which made it unfortunately impossible for them to steal. Even though Sibs and Hammy were low, they just had, with all 3 members there and with the ability to kind of jump onto Necrolite there with the low energy Riezgo, not working out for them. And yeah, another kill going over and making it 3-2. Does stop the bleeding a little bit, but it's still a 1,000 gold lead on the side of Necrolites.
It is? Yes, they do maintain that gold lead, but the kills are going over. If Rogue finds anyone out in the wilderness,
like they just did.
with standing in solo, then they're going to kill them. It's no doubt something that Necrolites cannot allow to happen. It means Rogue are going to be able to get this gold miner uncontested, a 300 gold payout as much as it could be. Now the gold, it's about even.
Yeah, it's about even right now, and that's huge for Rogue as they start to try to come on and try to reposition here. And they've done a good job at just playing these team fights smart, positioning correctly, and not overcommitting to something after that few early mistakes, right? We saw Koshka a few early mishaps there, and they've really turned it around and played more appropriately to the power spikes that they're going to have, and also, you know, not going underneath the turret, and that really helped them a lot, actually. So we're seeing good job. Sib's nice adjustment here in the mid game.
Certainly, but just that. In the mid-game, Dragon, we haven't made it to the late game yet, and this Samuel, this Fox, will out-damage this current roster from Rogue. So Rogue need to go aggressive, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to find standing in solo, and it looks like he will fall down. Yummy Captain Frenzy will connect, but he's sustaining. Good Aces High locks him down. Now Junie diving in. That's aggressive play from the Fox, and look at the kills coming forward. He backs himself, and he finds two in the process. Evo trying to escape, but where can he go? Nowhere, but into Junie's clutches. A triple for Junie, and Necrolites find an ace.
Wow, and that was such a crazy turn of events. You know, they were able... I actually was so surprised how well Sibs played that, waiting to use his stun until he had officially locked down standing solo and was sure he was going to get the kill. But just Junie coming in and being able to stay alive. You saw the clutch Fallon and the sigil... and the sigil from Riezgo to keep Junie just barely above the bottom of his health bar there, and then the breaking point stacks. He loves to get that breaking point quickly. Of course, he had it as a his first item with that Sorrow Blade there, second. Able to really dish out a lot of damage. And Dowsey, what a turn in that fight, let alone the entire game.
Yeah, this is the late game prowess that currently Necrolites are teasing us for us. It's going to be a hard task for Rogue to be able to outdamage that Vox if he's able to do what he just did there. We're going to see Eve of Harvest now for standing in solo. Second item for him, and he has that Crystal Infusion in the pocket as well to pop if a fight breaks out very shortly. Rogue, they're currently positioning for a huge damage onto standing, and oh, he just got popped by the Koshka and the Gwen. That's going to be Riezgo going down as well. They cannot afford to play this one by one game, and Junie gets taken on down. An ace for Rogue, exactly the team fight they wanted and needed, and everything's back in Rogue's court.
Right, really good play. Sibs, you played actually like the last fight, you know, not jumping in as aggressively, going in, dealing a little bit of damage, committing to the stun for the later part of the fight, right? After he knows he's going to be able to secure the kill. Much better teamwork in that fight. Of course, you see the sustain involved doing a much better job keeping his team alive on the edge of that wall there in the lane. And they get the ace. I think Necrolite just getting caught out and then trying to commit to that fight, they're not going to be able to get the same success they got. And of course, look at the defense being built up on the side of Rogue as they start to stack multiple items. Sibs going extremely tanky.
It all depends on how the fights are initiated. If Necrolites are all together and prepared, then I feel like they have the upper hand every time. But if they are caught one by one or even one by two, one man caught solo in an impale, not ready for the fight, Rogue will strike like a leopard or a panther in the dark. Now they've got the infusions, they've got themselves some defense like you mentioned. The scout traps are there just to try and find someone by themselves, but Necrolites are starting to adapt. They're moving as three, they're trying to avoid this soloing out that have been happening. And the the Bright Bulwark will prevent Rogue from getting any advantage there.
Yeah, I mean, now that it's essentially even here in objectives, but a slight gold lead over to Rogue, and that's kind of what they needed. They definitely have the ability to be a little bit more pressure, but the late game still favoring Necrolite here potentially, so they can't let their guard down. I really just think that the adjustments they made in their way they've been channeling these fights really has helped, as they're going to be able to actually keep Necrolite from securing a gold miner. That's huge, considering that probably would have tipped the gold back to even between the two teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Rogue, if they get into a position where they find an ace, they take objectives incredibly quickly. They tear through the base of Necrolites. They get so much gold as a response. and that is what's going to keep their composition alive in this game. Every minute that we go deeper into this late game, though, makes me slightly more worried that they'll be able to execute their play style, because Necrolites will have no reason but to walk around as a 3 and try and prevent setup vision that Rogue currently has a chance. They're all on a choke point. They are just going to fall back Rogue here. They're not looking for those big 3v3s. They're trying to find someone by themselves, maybe land a bit of damage. Standing, he's laying some on his own. Sibs goes down to almost half HP, and that Scout Trap actually makes it half HP. Sibs now has to fall back and, you know, farm up some treants to get some health.
Yeah, they're going to be able to re-engage here in just a few moments, as we see Necrite again trying to go for this gold miner. It's a little bit risky, as they could get jumped on. They may get the gold miner, but maybe have to pay for their life. So
stolen is more likely. Hammy here is looking for the buckshot still with the tension bow. It actually got a minion candy put on it, which makes it incredibly harder to burst down, but it's going to be Necrolite stealing that from Rogue. They managed to find it. Now they're chasing Rogue down. Look at Zip, so low, and falls into the Malice and Verdict. Frostburn doing work. Hammy blocks up everything. Ace is high, looking to make the fight turn around, but Junie's diving in, and Junie does Junie things. That's the kill going his way. It's once more just Evo left by himself as he dips and rolls. They're trying to escape. Frostburn slowing him down. They're trying to find the kill, but the kill they will not. Necrolites, they turn the fight in a big 3v3, and of course they win it.
Wow, I mean, that was very, very well played out by, and it's surprising they got the gold miner as well, because they were actually pretty far away. They were timing that poke. Standing solo is doing a lot of damage right now, and the poke damage coming out just a little bit too much. I expect to see a little bit more shielding coming out. You see Sips, he's going to probably be picking up that Aegis soon, as they're trying to prepare for just the amount of crystal damage that standing solo can do, and that really should be something that's kind of a huge focus.
Remember when I talked about this Serpent's Mask Vox build that we've been seeing prioritized? Well, Junie, he's picked it up. He's going to have a lot of sustain here in this fight, which means that the chances of Rogue taking him down become even harder if the fight progresses. It's all going to be about burst, and I guess the Serpent's Mask kind of helps you sustain some of the burst. Yeah,
all that lifesteal with the sigil coming out from the Lyra, that's going to be so huge. It does get rooted up there, blocked. The ace is high. The sleep's going to come in there. There is the catnip frenzy just decimating Junie. Taking out Junie would be huge, but look at those stacks going up as they completely turn it around. And oh my goodness, Necrolite looking to try to win this fight.
Whoa, Rogue, they burst them out. That's a double kill. Where did that come from? They reset the tension bow and a triple kill for Hammy from nowhere. Wow, I didn't think it was possible, but Rogue, they show it. That was a 15 almost breaking point stacks on Junie. If only Standing in Solo had a broken myth, surely that fight was theirs. But no, it's Rogue. They're going to take this choke point turret. They're going to take the Kraken as well, and they're back in the lead.
What a turn of events there, Dalsey. Oh, for Rogue to just play that perfectly. They knew they had the advantage once they got that Githian wall, stunning them into the side wall there in the jungle. It's so dangerous going up against the Lance in the jungle when there's so many points of areas to get stunned on. And then, of course, you know, getting locked down. Koshka, Sibs, I mean, timing it perfectly to get that ace. And now they have definitely opened this game up to ensure, hopefully for them, a victory as they're looking to try to go up 2-0 and silence the critics that possibly might have said they might have fallen. I mean, I could think a lot of people felt like they had a good chance to win this, you know, with a few doubters, and they're looking to try to silence that right here, right now.
Certainly are. Kraken walking up the lane. It's a scout trap minefield that Riazgo has built up here to try and do a bit of damage to the Kraken as she walks on forward. Rogue, though, they're sending them off, making sure that no extra damage is done to the Kraken, but they have to avoid this poke coming forward from Standing in Solo Sibs. He dives in, starting to stack up his broken myth. Only one stack at the moment, but look at the burst that comes out of Hammy. That's what you should be keeping your eyes on. 6 breaking point stacks and a huge root comes forward. That's the first turret going down. Sibs, he's just going for the base on the back of it. Rogue, they're not even looking to kill Necrolites. They're just looking to end the game underneath their noses, and the Kraken is going to help do it. Sibs will fall, but so does the Vain Crystal. Rogue take game 2.
What a just clean finish after such a messy back and forth game between these two teams. And Rogue, once they secured that critical team fight, getting the Kraken and closing this out is exactly what they needed to get this moving, the series moving over to their side decisively. We've got one more game 3 to come up, but right now Rogue is in the driver's seat of this series, looking to close it out.
Incredible stuff. I was honestly doubting Rogue's ability to be able to make that team composition work as the fight's gone on. I thought for sure that the Samuel Vox would out-sustain, out-damage long fights, but Rogue miraculously managed to disengage and just play this kind of, in and out style. No sponsorships here, Dragonborn, but it was pretty amazing stuff. And, to be able to, constantly dip and dive and just allow for their, aftershock and the tension bow to reset and actually, focus down turrets as well as just ignoring fights. They managed to make it work. Now we go to this game 3 in just a bit, and Necrite, they don't have any chances left. They need to start winning.
Yeah, they do. We could be seeing a game 5, but not if Rogue has anything to say about it. They're looking to close this one out. We're going to be getting ready for the game 3 in just a few moments, but we do need to take just a very short break. We will be taking, it should be about a minute, just so please bear with us. We'll be right back after the break. All right, we're back, everybody. We're getting ready for game number 3, and we're looking to get into this draft. Hopefully, Necrite can find something if they want to be able to take down Rogue here. But as you were talking during the break, Dowsey, that they have really strong drafts and compositions, and they're playing really well. But there's like always one piece missing from their composition, one ability or one type of thing they need to really make that work. In this case, with the Koshka jumping in but not being able to CC, not be able to control it, you were mentioning that you felt like that was a deciding factor.
Yeah, sure you have CC in the form of Oblivion, but let's face it, majority of VG8 teams will have a captain capable of blocking Oblivion, or carries and junglers with their own reflex blocks, and they'll block it just fine. So Oblivion, whilst it's a great AoE ultimate, it's slow, it's visible, it's telegraphed, and it's very, very hard to rely on it as your only source of CC. What I feel like Necrolites needed was just something to lock down. Perhaps it's the Koshka, perhaps it's the Gwen, so they can stack up that breaking point. They needed the Broken Myth as well, and Samuel, that was something that they were kind of stalling out for, hoping they could get. But, you know, early game Koshka made it hard for the Samuel to find as much farm as possible. So there was a couple of things going against Necrolites. As said at the end of the last series, last game, sorry, this is the final chance. Necrolites, if they're going to have a chance at making it to the VG8, knocking Rogue off their seat, well, this is their last chance. They have to do it now.
Yeah, we're going to see if they can do it now as we get jumped into this draft. And Lyra taken off the board. And I think that's a good call by Rogue. You know, basically give Necrolite the option if they're going to ban the Adagio, they do. And kind of similar to how we saw draft for Game 1 rollout.
Yes, it's almost exactly the same. What is actually just exactly the same so far. Finn going to be locked in. Something a little bit different here for Necrolites. They picked up the Glaive previously when they had this chance. They are going to continue to ban the Celeste out. I guess they assume that Glaive is going to be a priority ban on the side of Rogue. What did Rogue ban in this instance? They banned away the Arden. So Sky going to come forward. That's very interesting. Rogue saying, you know what? Actually, we know that you have other compositions that you're wanting to kind of bring in. Perhaps they kind of see the Finn as a trigger to one of those compositions. So they immediately ban out the Sky saying, actually, no, you're not going to have this, you know, piece of chess that you want. Now, really, really excited to see where Necrolites go with this draft.
Yeah, they still have the option to pick Vox. Now, I'm curious if they'll go with it just because they've lost 2 games with the Vox, and I don't think it's because of the Vox that they had any issues. It really boiled down to some really good coordination by Rogue, actually just outplaying in these team fights, and maybe making really good decisions late game that allowed them to win those team fights, maybe surprising Necrolite when they thought they might have been safe. That have been the big difference. And because of that, I think Necrolite probably going to be rethinking their entire lane strategy as well as jungle to change this series back over to their side.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I think that's almost it. Rogue has kind of just out team fighted Necrolite so far. They played a burst composition very well. Disengage, re-engage, throw the burst out, get out of there, reset your passives, get back in there, lay down the burst again. Like this in and out, this ballerina waltz kind of play where they are constantly going in and out allows them to play that kind of composition. Wow, Scarf going to be locked in for Necrolites. They are certainly looking to change something up here. Where that goes, nobody knows. That could be in the jungle, that could be in the lane.
Yeah, we've seen Lane Scarf here in 2.3 meta kind of starting to rise, and it can really be potent. It actually gets a similar build composition for most of these Crystal junglers, where they really focus on objectives with like a Storm Crown. I'm curious to see if that's what Necrolite's thinking, or if they're going to move this up to a Crystal lane. We saw a CP Celeste come out, and very effective by Rogue. A lot of CC, a lot of the ability to do AoE damage, and just really collapse upon Necrolite with that, and I'm curious to see if like Necrolite's thinking about using the Scarf in the same way.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very surprised. It hides their true intentions, because typically this is where you would pick up your laner so that you could hide your jungle pick in the draft and adapt it to whatever the carry and jungle pick from your opposition is on A side. You know, perhaps that Scarf is the jungle pick. This is kind of the beauty of a Scarf, is that it can be flexed between the 2 positions, which means Necrolites actually have a lot of power in this draft still available to them. But let us not forget, Scarf is still the same hero despite where it's played. So it doesn't necessarily change the fact that now, you know, already with a Lance, which has so much great potential to blow up a Scarf if he's rooted in the Impale, Rogue are going to start looking at the Finn, looking at the Scarf, and going, all right, well, we kind of see where you're going with this. You're either going to build something that can dive in on us in a CP format or a weapon power format. If you're going to pick up a different jungler, you kind of need that as well. or we kind of just play a poke game and try and outdo you. Looks like with a Vox that they're going to be going a little bit more engagey with their picks. They've only got 6 seconds of bonus time, so it has to be now. Glaive comes forward, so yeah, they're going to look to try and engage on top of Necrolites, try and knock that Scarf into a position where the Scarf is vulnerable. So this is kind of where I feel like Necrolites needs to go, all right, well, we need to find a little bit more peel. Finn's good, but we need just a little bit more.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because I think the Glaive pickup by Rogue was perfect and really prevents Necrolite from using Scarf to his, I think, where he plays the best, right? Is sitting right behind his support, poking away with those Spitfires, and then coming in with a Dragon Breath. That Glaive is going to be that reliable stun that can prevent that Dragon Breath from coming out full force. Really? This is a really cool pickup because it looks like they're eyeing the Kestrel, maybe jungle or lane, but as kind of a way to prevent you to jumping on the Scarf if there is that active camo in place right as you have to burn in.
It's not only that, it's like, well, there's now 2 priority targets that you're wanting to be knocked away out of the fight, and if you don't knock one of them, or like depending, you only can knock one of them with the Glaive. Only one person can be afterburned out of position. Scarf probably the most consistent one, as Kestrel can go invis with the active camo. However, if you choose Scarf or Kestrel, she's still going to lay down damage. It has to be a weapon power Kestrel. It has to be in the lane, right? So it's certainly going to be a Scarf in the jungle. Does mean that the active camo, it can be popped immediately. So if the Kestrel is knocked out by Glaive, there is a bit of a chance for her to escape with the active camo. But not the pick I was thinking of at all for Necrolites. They're kind of going full forward. They know that that Rogue is going to engage hard onto them, and they're just kind of thinking that they can take the engagement and dish out a lot of burst damage in the process.
Where I think, though, the Kestrel pick's not as potent against, like, if it was a Koshka or an Ozo they were going into, where that active camo is way more effective, but when you're going into a Glaive, he has a tendency to overpass the active camo, to move past it because of how far he can afterburn, and I think I expect to see Rogue play that way, right? It was where they understand there's going to be an active camo, to try to get so far behind and actually stun the Scarf, the opposite way, but over top of an active camo, maybe getting. So vision's going to be very crucial here. Evolve, make sure that they're flaring when they go in for these attacks so that they're not getting surprised. They can position around it, I think, with a Glaive far more effectively than they would have with like an Ozo or a Koshka.
Yeah, no, I definitely like the Glaive pickup. Wow, this is very exciting. Not where I expected this one to go whatsoever. Can confirm it will be Junie on that weapon power Kestrel. So it is a Scarf jungle coming into this patch 2.3. The last chance here, Dragonborn, for Necrolites to make their way into the VG8 this split. Currently Rogue 2-0 up in our first Challenge Battle Series of North America. We got One Piece 101 and Misfits next up, I believe. A lot of excitement around that, but let us not ditch Rogue and Necrolites. This could be the reverse sweep that Necrolites are starting to build up.
Absolutely. Big shout out to the team at SEMC helping us out, getting some small little issues you may have noticed just got resolved in game number 3. For those eagle eyes, it's impossible to not notice. But yeah, we're getting ready for this next series, and of course we're really excited, immensely excited kind of for how this should all play out here. Already, Rogue feeling it this time as they are going aggressive. Something we haven't seen play out in the early part of these matches is an invade, which has become all too customary in previous updates. And look at Sibs jumping on the standing solo, Dowsy.
Yeah, great stuff coming out of Sibs, and this is exactly what Rogue needed. Scarf's so vulnerable, they've got to land, they push the Finn right away, so there was no way that Riasco could actually provide any CC, any help towards standing in solo, and it made Rogue's life so easy. Great stuff, really confident play. Like I said at the beginning of Game 2, that's what I wanted to see from Rogue, that's what we needed, and already they're showcasing that actually they feel very comfortable about their chances in this series.
Yeah, and I think they definitely, it's starting the game strong and starting the early game with a very aggressive approach, something we hadn't really seen played out as well in the first 2 games, even though they had aggressive compositions, is really going to help them, because you don't want the Kestrel or the Scarf to get fed. You know that as you get later into the game, they do become more potent. But if they are starved, if you've had that advantage of Hammy as this Vox just keeps an edge above them.
Oh no!
I think it's
standing. He's gonna die to the treant. EU has come to NA, boys. Standing bit off more than he could chew. Now it's gonna be Hammy just walking in, stealing all these backs away.
And this is a real surprise. Of course, he's going with the double CP right now. You don't see a Storm Crown coming out. Would have been very helpful with that farming. Probably would have gotten that brought down. But he's got to be careful here. This is a Scarf. He's not playing a very tanky bruiser like he's played in the past couple of games. He needs to be a little bit more cautious about how he's going to be playing in this jungle here. Already, really strong start here for...
He's looking to find a kill though. Hammy may be in a bit of trouble, but it looks like Sips wants to turn it on. Standing in solo, rushing the boots purchased up into a polite company to keep him alive. But it's all Necrolites here. They do not have Evo. He is coming from behind for a flank if possible, but Hammy, he's kind of caught out, challenging that recall, but he's not going to go anywhere. Junie stops it off with a glimmer shot. Hammy, he does not get away too deep. Will lose his life in the process.
Oh, and so it does even one apiece. But definitely so far, overall farming has been improved by Rogue. They're doing a good job just giving up that kill. I think a little bit overextended coming in there. Almost got standing solo again, but committing to something that was a little close. In the early game, if it doesn't work out, you pay a pretty hefty price for that invasion, that aggression.
So... I just want to kind of throw it back towards, standing dying. Not because I want to call anyone out, right? I'm not that kind of person. Nerves are starting to set in. That's what I want to talk about. Nerves are setting in for Necrolites. They've got this kind of risky Scarf pick in the jungle. Don't get me wrong, very strong, can be very effective if played correctly. And actually you're going to start to see it as Evol starts to get knocked down a bit as Standing does fall forward. Not going for the fight just yet. A lot of damage is traded back, but the nerves for Necrolites are starting to set in. This is their chance to get into the VG8. They're playing against Rogue, and Rogue has, dominated them in 2 games so far. This is the experience factor. We kind of talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, where I feel like the VG8 teams start to trump the Challenger Series teams. Riesgo, Junie, Standing in solo, they have VG8 experience, right? So it's not like they're strangers to playing at the top level of Vainglory, but Rogue have been doing it for the last couple of weeks. So nerves-wise, I feel like they're probably in a better position.
Yeah, and they're looking to be just like that, aggressive, definitely feeling good in this game, having the 2-series lead over Necrolites, looking to play as aggressively as they can here in this early game. Yeah, you're definitely right, and Necrolite not out of this game, even if they get far behind, because they do have a composition that if they could play cautiously, they can get back into this matchup, but the challenge is you're going to have a scaling composition that is really good into late game as well over the side of Rogue. So even though there's that potential to improve these fights with the Scarf play later on in the game, if they give up too much too soon, the gold disparity is just going to be too much to overcome by Rogue. So far, definitely some good play and early aggression and team fighting so far out of Rogue.
Yeah, certainly. They're showing that they're looking to be in a position where they can take the series. Currently, so far, they've got the advantages, and actually the advantages are huge. It's 2,000 gold built up through the farm that they've been able to steal away from Standing in solo. They've taken almost 2 rotations of his jungle in the backs as well. So much gold taken away from this Scarf, and this Scarf needs to build up. Look at the item disparities. Zibs, he has his Storm Crown. Standing in solo hasn't completed a Broken Myth yet, which is what he's opted in to go for first. Zibs holding out is spotted out with a Spitfire, so Rogue will not be able to find an engage just yet, but you can see that they're priming for one. They want to fight, and in fact this turret has taken a lot of damage, so if Rogue do find even a single kill, they could get a whole lot of gold for it.
Yeah, and they're looking to keep this lane pushed up. This is something that's really nice to see out of Rogue this game. Is very, very good lane control since they were able to have that effective early aggression play, and they're playing to their strength. Not over diving yet though. Sibs looking for that afterburn to possibly knock Junie out, but playing it cautiously a little bit as they look to just rotate down now that they have that lane pushed all the way up in the turret. And standing solo, just trying to avoid this aggression from Rogue into his own jungle, and keeping at least trying to secure his backs quick enough so that he's not going to lose out to that. Standing solo actually comes in here and does not go down, does not get caught out here, even though they know he's hanging around. Oh, almost gets the steal. Not quite.
Such a risky attempt, just because there's so much lockdown potential, but actually Rogue, they don't quite find the engage they want onto standing in solo. They did attempt to steal it. It was a good timed attempt from Necrolites, but a good burst comes out. So Goldmine goes in favor of Rogue. They've got themselves a 2,000 gold lead with that objective, and they can turn it into much more with the turret going down very shortly. I feel they'll make a play for it.
Yeah, they definitely, and they really should too, is that you don't want to go too long. You don't want to allow Necrolite to get back into this matchup here by not tilting the game farther and farther in your favor, not playing off your power spikes here. I do expect to see that Sibs, when he picks up his second tier 3 item offensively, that would be a great time to just move in. Oh, but they do catch standing solo out!
Needs so much damage, there's no way he escapes. Boots already used, that will be him falling. Tries to channel the ultimate for a bit of fortified health, but in doing so, seals his fate. Rogue, they find that singular kill they need. Minion wave not quite set up for them. In fact, Junie did a good job to push it into the turret, which gives Necrolites a bit of a chance to hold onto their turret, but it all comes down to, can Junie position himself and clear the wave quick enough? This turret going to go aggressed on by Rogue. It forces Necrolites away, and the gold, it starts to swing. 2,000 becomes 3,000, and Rogue are looking like they're starting to run away.
Yeah, big miss positioning by standing solo to not, and also not having the proper vision to get out of there in time, and getting caught. That's not what you want to be able to do. That's not how you're going to get back into this game, not at all. So unfortunately, even having that lane pushed up was not enough to prevent the inevitable tower demise. And right now, Rogue, nice 4,000 gold lead. They are looking to secure game number 3 in a 3-0 sweep, unless Necrolite can find something here in this second half of this game.
That's it. They need to find something sooner rather than later. We've got Junie with a Sorrow Blade breaking point. 2 items for him so far. Standing in solo does have that broken myth, but that is about it in the weapon department. And look at his slots available to him. It's filled with defensive item after defensive item. So not likely going to be building into a Frostburn, a Shattered Glass, or an Eve of Harvest anytime soon. Definitely needs a bit of energy regen for this. Scarf does use up a lot of it, but has just been starved of gold so hard. And is not likely going to turn around anytime soon. This Storm Crown on the glaive means that Sibs can continuously take gold mines at will. Nothing really Necrolites can do about it, and so the gold just keeps funneling to Rogue's way. They've got a 4,000 gold lead. Necrolites coming down. This is as far as they pushed up, but Rogue will not look for a fight.
Yeah, it's definitely not been going their way on Necrolites. Rogue's been playing much cleaner. The best game we've seen them play, actually, of all 3 matchups. And I really am impressed with how Sibs on this glaive has played. I thought that was a key pick that really was going to help them against this Scarf. And it's sure, from the get-go, from right out of the gate, has helped them a lot. Standing solo, as you were saying, is so far behind that they have to wait just a decent amount of time before they can really even pick their fights and be aggressors that they need to be. And so far, they haven't been able to use, for instance, Kestrel effectively. Even though she's a weapon Kestrel, we haven't seen active camos used effectively to prevent, for instance, a jump onto the enemy team here. Sibs getting out. Oh, pull force to court is blocked, though.
It does, and the fountain comes forward, which means Sibs will sustain, and actually Rogue may look for a flank here with Sibs. Nope, they're going to just disengage. Evolt will fall backwards here, but Necrolites aren't going to find a kill for themselves. They may look for some turret damage though. The Scarf and the Kestrel can do a lot of damage. Actually, Hammy steps into the gloop. That's not the place you want to be, buddy. He goes down. Necrolites find a kill. mispositioning there from Hammy for sure. Now a turret could be there. Sibs though, he has Aftershock, he has Storm Crown. He could look to lay down a bit of hurt, and look at that, Junie, the one aggressed onto, but a Quibble locks him down. The Afterburn away, the one shot into his face, and a kill secure. That's 2 for Necrolites, and Evolt just doing his best, but his best will not stop this turret from going down, and now he has to escape himself. If he falls, this is huge for Necrolites, and they're looking for the kill as well. Scarf will find it with some mortal attacks. Hammy coming forward, but what can Hammy do? Fountain keeps him alive. Rias go looking to lock down this Fox, and the Quibble finds the shot. Can they get the final kill? Yes, they can. Rogue, they're just giving the gold over to Necrolites. They've opened up their wallet. They've emptied out their purses. Necrolites back in this game.
And I was just going to comment on how well Rogue had disengaged from that and not choosing to be in a position where they could give up a single kill and allow Necrolite to get back into this game. As we did see, you know, the whole of Necrolite was kind of forced to chase down Evol into the lane. And, you know, you saw Sibs and Hammy, they moved away from where, like, the most direct position to getting that turret would be, so that they wouldn't either, you know, if you chase the kill on one of the carries, you know, you at least save your turret, but instead they come up. I think the big mistake there was Hammy coming up to the lane to try to stop that turret push before he had his full team present, and just getting popped right away started opening this huge, massive push here by Necrolite, as they have come right back into this game.
Yeah, 100%. This game that Rogue had been running away with, car's been turned around, and Necrolites, well, they have a chance. It's a slim one. It's not like they've just been given a golden ticket to win this game. We're going to game 4 or anything. They still have to fight for it, but what they've just done is allowed Scarf to get his second item. He has an Eve of Harvest, can sustain energy and health throughout the fights now. Rogue, their huge gold lead is nil, just 500 gold to between these teams. Necrolites have been given items that they would have not had for minutes into their inventories right now. Rogue still have a chance to secure this victory, don't get me wrong, but currently Necrolites, they've got a much better chance. Now looking for a fight. Here comes the Dragon's Breath, and it's going to start burning away. Good Crucible will block up a lot of the damage, and actually looks like Rogue want to turn it, but can they get in? That's Hammy, he's forced in. Sib's going to knock this Scarf back, but the Fountain healing him up, and the Fountain doing work as well. Eve of Harvest, it looks like they're going to find a kill here onto Evo, at least Necrolites, but can they get any more? 13 minutes in, one shot onto Sibs means that there's no Kraken to steal. Looks like Rogue will only lose one for their troubles, but that's not something that I thought would happen just a minute ago.
Well, Evil sacrificed himself there, and I think that was the right thing for the team. You do not want to give up an ace at this point. You're just looking at Goldmine, but an ace means that minion wave's going to push fast enough to secure another turret, so instead, they're able to get out. Evil plants himself, takes the kill for the team, which actually saves them, you know, the hassle of having to deal with ace buff minions channeling right on top of their tier 2 turret. And ultimately now Evil is back, so I don't think they lose a lot. Rogue doesn't lose a lot from that engagement, but it is a sign of just some issues with how they've been able to deal with these fights. And you would think fighting in these tight spaces would definitely be beneficial for Rogue right now, but so far Standing Soul and Junie have done a great job at managing it.
You say they don't lose anything. They do lose a gold lead.
Well, they lose the gold lead, but like, yeah, it's true.
But that's something that they should have never done. They were 5,000 gold in the lead. This throw has hurt Rogue so much. Any confidence they had built up is now being questioned by mistakes they've made. And Necrolites, they're going to benefit from this the most. This is their last hurrah. They need this. And look, they're charging forward, looking for a fight onto Rogue as well. Will they be able to get in range is the question. Standing
Sibs is low, though.
Damage. Has to be careful, Sibs. Here comes the Afterburn, knocks him sideways. But he's able to escape for now. And they're going to have to walk for a gloop if they want to get in onto anyone. Good damage from Necrolites as they find Sibs, and looking for Evo as well. Hammy, he's going to get cornered, and he doesn't go anywhere. It's an ace going to come through here for Necrolites, and the Kraken, she's just spawned. It's going to be Kraken for Necrolites.
Wow, that's huge ace that you just didn't want to give, and I felt like Rogue was in a position where they wanted that fight. They pushed the lane up, and they were ready to deal with it. You saw Sibs going in with these afterburns, trying to get, but the Force Accord pulled him away from the fight just for a moment, which meant that he was not able to lock down on the Standing Solo, and he was able to get that Dragon Breath out without any issues, without any contention there, and that was a real huge issue. Now Necrolite's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, this is huge for them. There's not many ways that Necrolites lose the game from this stage if they play at range and they avoid engages from Sibs. It's all about positioning and reflexes. The Kraken will do a lot of work for Necrolites, and their turret taking potential is huge with a Scarf, with a Kestrel. Let's see how Rogue try to play this. Currently, Necrolites with everything to lose in this game. That's a huge damage spike onto the turret. The Kraken, she's not even been faced. Good silence. Junie blocks it though. Can Junie escape? They're trying to find the Kestrel. The Kestrel will go down, but the damage, here comes Standing, and Hammy's burning alive. Can he do the work? It doesn't look likely, but he will fall. Quibble knocks down 2. They're on top of a Gloop. He has to afterburn away, says Sibs. But look at the turret, it's gonna go down. Standing dodges the impale. This is looking good for Necrolites, but it may just be Standing falling right now. Eve sustaining him, he finds one more before Sibs finds the kill, but a Spitfire will land onto the turret, and it looks like this will just be it. There's no way Ria's Go will fall. There's no way Sibs can hold the game together. This is Necrolites finding a game in the series, a game potentially they should have found. Maybe not just yet. The Kraken actually will fall. I lied. I got hyped. I got excited. It looks like Rogue will just about defend their base. One more auto attack will not come forward. Hooey! It all comes down to this.
Yeah, Junie pulling out that one shot, hoping that it could just do a little bit more extra damage to finish this, and now we're going to see that crystal is going to start regenerating, so it is going to mean that, you know, the next time they go down there, they've got to be prepared to take out that crystal, full health crystal at that, and Evol doing his job, making sure he gets that vision down to prevent any backdoors as they are open to that kind of push here, as you got Junie able to go invisible a little bit if you can get around some of those scout traps.
Wow. I thought it was done just then. But right now, things, they still go. The train, keeps on rolling. Alrighty. Necrolites, they've got all the time in the world to try and find the right team fight. It's all on Rogue's shoulders this game to try and make something work. They need to find a gauge onto Standing, most likely. I think he's the main damage dealer at this point, so it's kind of the priority for them, but it's coming down to the last hurrah.
Well, the late game potential of Standing Solo and Junie have paid out. There's a nice active camo, does not get the stun on the Sibs. Oh, Dowsey, this is looking bad.
It is looking bad. Junie's in trouble, but the Phantom comes forward. He's still alive, and Sibs is actually now going to go down for sure. The Dragon's Breath burning, and he goes out. Junie's alive. He can just start looking to try and take the game. As Standing in will find Hammy. That is it. Necrolites, they've done it. There's no way Evol survives or keeps the base alive against a full 3 members of Necrolite, and Evol knows this. He just walked away, tries to find an impale across the wall onto Junie. Will not happen though. GG to Necrolites, man. What a great comeback from them. But without, taking too much credit away from them, a huge throw as well from Rogue.
It was an unfortunate turn of events there, and we did talk about the Scarf composition with the Kestrel. It's going to turn on eventually, so you need to get this game closed out, but you need to play smart. We saw the Glaive did work well. It was jumping over those active camos. I don't think we saw Glaive get stunned up by an active camo at all in this matchup, but the big difference was just how well the Scarf was able to deal. We saw really well-timed reflex blocks by a Standing Solo to prevent that afterburn stun to come in there and stop him or cancel his channel of that ultimate, and that made all the difference. So with that, we're going to be getting into a game number 4 between these two teams. Necrolite looking to come back into this series.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where it all starts for them. They've got 1 game, but they need 2 more, and Rogue, they just need the singular. Everything is stacked up against Necrolites, but they have shown they can take a game off Rogue. Perhaps the blood of their enemies is all they need to spare them on Dragon.
Well, we'll have to find out. We're going to try to get into this next matchup. I know we've been taking breaks. Hopefully we no longer have to take those as we get ready for this game number 4. Should be just a few moments here, actually. Get right into it. As, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to get right into this match.
Yeah, certainly. I want to see how this series concludes, because I feel like this was the most as far as statistics and odds are concerned, Dragon, I feel like this was the most like cut and dry series out of all of them. In theory, Rogue probably shouldn't lose their VG8 slot based on their performance and their ability as a team. However, that has just thrown a complete question mark above my head. I'm spamming that ping right now. As Necrites have shown that they can make a very unusual team composition work, especially from behind. This next draft, will we see a Scarf ban? Will we see a Kestrel ban? Or do Rogue feel like actually they were the ones that caused the loss due to some mispositioning on their half?
Well, we're going to jump into the draft right now, everybody, and get ready for game number 4. As Rogue looks to close this out, but Necrite looks to get back within striking distance.
That's it. Will they be able to find another game? Well, that's the only question that they have to answer, is one more game, and then it's one more game. We might go all the way, but first, let's see where game 4 goes. Finn, going to be banned out by Necrolites. Adagio returned. It means Necrolites get Lyra. They had Lyra, I believe, in game 2. Yes,
yeah,
they
game
did.
2.
Exactly the same draft so far. We saw a Lance picked up by Rogue in game 2. We'll see if Rogue prioritize it. They have done so throughout every game so far. All 3 games has had a Lance on Evo.
Yeah, and he's played it very well.
Celeste locked in.
No, there was a Finn Evo. That game 1 was a Finn.
Nope, Lance on Evo.
Pretty sure that was a carry.
So unless I
it was Sibs on the Lance. It was Sibs on the Lance.
You're right. Sorry, you are right. Yeah. So Lance was a priority pick. Sorry for the team is one.
Yes, no, that you got. You nailed it. It's all right. It's a long series already.
However, Celeste locked in for Rogue. That shows that they really prioritize this pick. And Necrolites, they've prioritized banning it. Picking it up first rotation, that's so risky, man. I don't know about this.
Yeah, it does show that it kind of shows your cards. I mean, it could be jungle or lane, but there's CC involved. There's obviously a lot of damage with Celeste in the late game that will help them. I think that's where you saw the Scarf really overpower the side of Rogue last game. Was just he was doing so much, hitting that power spike right at the end, and then doing so much, and they were able to capitalize on it. I think Celeste with that more reliable stun can help you there. But right now, it is very risky to give a healer over depending on the compositions. We saw Samuel and a Vox with those Eve of Harvest and Serpent's Mask picks with a Lyra can do a lot of damage and a lot of sustain. We'll see if that's how they go this game here in game number 4.
Very interesting stuff, to say the least. Lance will be locked in for Rogue, so they're continuously prioritizing it. But hey, there's that Tucker.
We did overlook, overlooking the Rona pick, the Rona ban. I think was. I mean, we haven't seen Rona played yet, so I'm surprised. Maybe there's something about that pick specifically that Necrolite's afraid of.
Perhaps, yeah. Maybe it's enough distraction to keep Celeste alive. Who knows? But look at this composition. This is why you don't pick Celeste in your first rotation. Black Feather, weapon power, will be able to assassinate the Celeste. Tucker will be able to jump on top and assassinate the Celeste. They've got a Lance on their side here, Rogue, which will provide some form of peel, but really they need more than just a Lance. And with the Finn banned away, that kind of prevents the ability to at least provide fortified health through the Polite Company. So I don't know what Rogue picks here that salvages this draft. It almost feels like the game could 100% just be won by Necrolites by Rogue picking Celeste's first pick.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, it was, it depends on how they play the composition. We've seen Rogue, I would say, with probably not the best composition, but yet still playing better, still mechanically outperforming Necrolite. So it's not necessarily a given that, that first pick would be the huge draw if they still play it very well. And I think, with Ataka, you actually have to be careful. You want to be in on top of that Celeste. You can dodge a lot of that damage, but those stars with the core collapse, it can be sometimes a little too much. I think that the issue here is that you've got this healer with the Black Feather, which typically can be very effective. And if Necrolite can finally have a game, they'll be able to get back into this.
Yeah, no, and this is certainly a game that they have a lot of ability to come back into. We got 15 seconds left on this bonus time. Rogue need to pick something up now in the next 10 seconds here. And you know, it's very tough to pick something up. Glaive going to be locked in. You know, I guess there's potential here for the Lance to be in the jungle, the Glaive to be in the jungle, Celeste to be in the jungle. Like, theoretically, these picks could go anywhere apart from maybe Celeste into the captain role. So there's not too much said about where everyone's going to be laning it. The assumption is that Hammy will be playing Celeste once more, as he did so in game 1 of this series. But this is a very hard composition to win with for Rogue.
Yeah, it really is. We'll see how it kind of plays out. I do think though that having a Glaive, being aggressive, gets some of those ganks early, will be helpful. Blackfeather in the lane, you know, has short range early, so it forces him to be pretty far forward, and that will make him susceptible to ganks. And he also doesn't have the ability to escape those ganks in the first couple levels. So I think Rogue, they have an opportunity here, if they play correctly, to just take advantage of the early game again, as we've seen them be able to do the last game. And maybe, hopefully, just not make some of those maybe mid to late game mistakes that resulted in game number 3 going over to Necrolites. But we are ready to start into this next matchup, so we're going to get right into it, as that draft particularly, I think, will be a big question mark hanging over us as we start game number 4.
Yeah, certainly is. I don't feel like Celeste is like an insta-win for Rogue, as kind of Necrolites have been making it out to be with their ban priority so far in this series. And, you know, Rogue kind of have said it is based on the fact that they have locked it in first rotation. Maybe they know something we don't know. Maybe they go to themselves, you know what, actually, I've seen Standing in Solo play Tucker, and actually he's not good at it. So they kind of think that they can get away with it. I do not know for sure. What I do know is that historically, Celeste dies when Tucker and Blackfeather gets on top of her. So positioning from Hammy, you know, it can't be bad. And in the previous game, Rogue threw some bad positioning from Hammy. So yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. As we get into game number 4, this could be a deciding game, as we do expect Rogue wanting to close this out and play. They played really good the early part of that last game. In fact, it was one of the best games we had seen for the first 6 or 7 minutes, but slowly those scarves started to really eat away at them, and they stopped. Really, we didn't have an answer once we got past the mid to late game.
Yep, certainly didn't. Right. Minute has passed and Hammy's still alive. Good news. It is going to be this weapon-powered Glaive in the jungle for Sibs. Evil sticking to the Lance in that roam position. So fairly, I think, predictable composition from Rogue based on where they want to put everything. We are going to see Sibs, though, come up for an early gank. You mentioned it earlier that Junie is susceptible to early ganks, and he's in position for one. That's a great knockback. Junie's in a lot of trouble here. He's actually going down, trying to escape forward towards the Tucker. The Sigil might just give it... Oh, no! He didn't get the movement speed! And he tried to go back for it as well. The Scout Trap will do the work. First blood goes Sibs' way.
And this is where Blackfeather is going to be his weakest, so you definitely want to take advantage of that. Rogue doing exactly that, going in there, being the aggressors here at the early part of the game, looking to try to continue to take advantage of that now as they kind of move into the enemy side, looking to counter farm, but there is nothing there. Standing Solo, you know, not being there does prevent the counter jungling from taking place by clearing out his front side of the jungle.
Yes, certainly does. Just a bit of extra gold coming forward. And onto Evo as well, means they can get a fountain nice and early. I suspect that's what they want on their roam here, just to try and sustain the early burst that can come from Ataka. But you know, this is what they need to do. They need to farm from range on this Celeste. You can see Hammy, he throws out a Helo Genesis and immediately walks back as far as possible before getting ready to throw another one out. He's actually missing a couple CS though in the process. He's actually got half the CS that Junie has, despite the fact that Junie lost his life early in this lane. So, you know, the early safety, I guess you could say, that's coming out, kind of providing, hampering his performance to CS. But, you know, Standing, He's not looking like he's going to be able to steal away this Elder Tree, and is going to give it a go, but not going to happen. And now actually Sibs might look for the engage. Yeah, they're going in. That's a good stun standing on the Scout Trap. He's going to be revealed. He can't go in Viz. Will he be able to escape? He will be able to escape in the end. So
just barely
able to find a second, but they're going deep. They want to try and steal away these backs and try and steal away the gold, and that's actually what gave Rogue a really good advantage in the last game.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely something that they're able to do here. Taka's coming up pretty quick, but because you know, Sib's already having some decent itemization here, even in the first couple minutes, is able to help clear out this jungle very fast as he and Evolve take that, and it's going to be an entire jungle clear. Staying solo, going to have nothing on his side, so he's going to have to decide if he's just going to risk going and being the aggressors. He's not. Just going to clear out his bottom two shop minions, and so far Hammy doing a nice job in the lane. Substantially behind Junie as far as CS, but not giving over any damage to the turret, and looking after clearing this wave to only be about 10 CS behind. Celeste can get a little bit behind early, as long as she can hit those power spikes that she needs to. I think that's the real thing they're gonna have to watch out here for. And of course, Dalsy, I think just with Sibs being so much farther ahead of Taka, it kind of compensates for the team overall.
And actually, let us not forget, we're so used to seeing a kind of CP utility glaive build. It does damage, don't get me wrong, when we saw Standing do a lot of work with it in game 1 of our series. But weapon-powered glaive does so much more work, so much more damage, and will actually provide a huge threat to the side of Necrolites. So that's exactly what Rogue are going for here. They try to pick a weapon-powered jungler that can actually provide a lot of threat, and at least try and take some of the attention away from Hammy in these long, extended team fights. So I do like the glaive, and the fact that it's ahead early does a lot for them. Actually, this is great catch out. Can they find Standing though? He will be able to just walk away. Good use of his jump, his A to dodge the stuns coming out. Rogue not able to find a second kill. The
Standing
gold
solo,
is still in the favor of Necrolites.
Yeah, it is. Standing solo really slippery here on this Taka, doing a good job at avoiding maybe a little bit better anticipation. Hammy trying to get that core collapse, but the stun from the Githyan wall just not long enough to keep that Taka in place, and he was able to, of course, dodge right out of that. But overall, not too bad. It's a slight gold lead, but it's one that can quickly disappear here as we are still very, very early in this matchup, and objective-wise, we really haven't seen Necrolites be effective in any kind of pushing of the lane or the jungle.
You say it's slight, but I'd argue this is a huge gold lead for Necrolites because it's purely based on farm, and it's something that I would have expected based on the fact that Rogue put attention onto Junie early on. Now this is a good catch out. They're going to find Standing in solo, knock him against the wall. There should be a kill going their way, I would believe, but as I say that, he runs and he hides and he gets the fountain and the Imperial Sigil, so somehow manages to walk away. If Hammy had his level 6, I think that was a goner, but now position advantage for Necrolites as Hammy walks into the bush. A bit risky. Going back to that point, you know, Black Feather is 66 to the 50 of Hammy. That's almost 20 CS at 6 minutes for a melee hero against the Celeste. A melee hero who lost his life early in this game and then was denied farm because of it. Slippery slopes, man. Slippery slopes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Celeste clearly behind. This is going to be a problem for them, but it's definitely much closer. Sib's doing a good job on this glaive so far, not really giving any, I mean, you haven't really seen Standing solo, even though he's been doing a good job on the Taka and keeping his CS close. They haven't been able to take anything from it, right? Like, they have this gold lead, but so far it has not resulted in anything, and that's really what, you know, you kind of have to pay attention to here as the game goes on, is what they can do with it. So far, very little.
I don't feel like they need to do anything of great value, but this is going to be their first attempt, at least, for Necrolites. Damage onto Hammy. They're going to heal everything back up. The longer this game goes, the more burst potential Necrolites builds up onto Standing, onto Junie. So the likelihood that they are able to take Hammy out of a fight becomes greater and greater. And, you know, as this Tucker builds towards that Storm Crown, the ability to take the neutral objectives, perhaps not this time, as Evo will spot it out. Actually, they're being a bit sneaky here. They haven't risky, let Standing know that he's spotted, and he can't go anywhere. That's the nice play from Evo. The Gold Miner should go to Rogue. A little bit of misplay. Sigil doesn't steal it, but Hammy's in trouble as he gets bursted down by Junie under the turret. So Necrolites, they return at least with a kill of their own. If that, gold will be even, though, through the gold miner still.
Yeah, we definitely missed the kill onto Hammy a little bit up in the lane. So Junie just barely escaping as he hits level 6. So the Rose offensive coming in right at the nick of time. Oh, but he gets stunned back. Going to be a Sibs taking a lot of damage on the turret with the fountain. Just almost keeping him alive. Oh, Evolve with the finish. As
Pretty incredible stuff to be able to trade that one back. It didn't look like Evo would be able to, but hey, Lance, it does a substantial amount of damage. So the gold, it kind of swings a little bit back towards Rogue. The gold miner still very nicely done. Rogue didn't show that they knew that it was happening. As you said, it was very risky from standing to actually attempt that without any vision. But right now, he's snuck his way into the side bush and knows he hasn't been spotted, so Hammy will lose his life. Maybe not. Does be able to boots out. I thought Standy would wait for his team to come, but actually he just went straight in.
Yeah, so still oddly close. Necrolite still has that gold. Again, we haven't been able to effectively get any objectives. They actually losing out gold mine, but getting the kills, getting the gold lead, but it's starting to level up right now. And I feel like with Hammy, he's not really been pressured as much as we'd expect. Even with that early pressure working, the mid-game pressure has been pretty much nil, as he's slowly starting to move back up within striking distance. His CS now only 5 behind.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff from Hammy to be able to build that up. Perhaps it's maybe a drop of power from Necrolites, as they haven't really ran away with a lead that they should have. But they still have a composition that has the potential to do so. Aftershock completed. Fataka now has a bit of damage available to him with that Storm Crown as well. Junie has the Serpent's Mask, the breaking point, 2 item spikes. I think they can work with that. Necrolites are going for another gold miner here. Perhaps just trying to bait Rogue into a fight. They have heals available, and you can see the Sigil comes out. Hammy's nowhere near. Will the Solar Storm come through? Will there be a still? No, it's just going to be a decent gold payout to Necrolites.
Yeah, that time definitely did a better job at picking, and all 3 members, of course, coming down to get that crystal miner, or that gold miner for Necrolites. Made it a little bit harder to contest, Lyra being there with Junie as well. What it does mean, though, is their first real major objective of the game, but the lane now able to continue to push back up into the face of Blackfeather, which isn't a problem for him. It's something they actually probably would prefer right in that position here. But so far, even with that gold lead, they basically had a gold lead for a good chunk and not able to make much happen with it. And so as a result, Rogue is really back into this game. And I think you're going to see the Celeste. She's already got 2 tier 3s. Once that Eve of Harvest comes out, it's going to be a much harder hero to take out in these fights.
We'll be able to sustain a lot. Here we go, though. Here comes the Taka, knocked up against the wall by Evo. He's going to dive into Hammy nonetheless. Dives away. Good root comes forward, and the Helogenesis starting to do work as well. Hammy is laying down the damage for Rogue. How long can that keep up is the question. Standing, a lot of pressure being put onto him by Sibs as they continue to charge forward, but here comes Junie from behind, and Hammy, he's now caught out. Re-engage onto him, but now the Taka comes in. This is where the Celeste gets in trouble as they both dive on, and the kill goes their way. Junie sustaining through the fight. Sibs in trouble. It's 2 for Necrolites. Maybe they can make it a 3rd as Evo tries to dip and dive, tries to dodge away. The turret will not take the kill onto this Taka, but Riasgo is tanking it all on up. Necrolites with 2 kills now looking for a turret to call their own. Oh no! Standing in solo dies to the Sentry. Evo finds a bit of life in him as he knows it's a 1 versus 2, not a 1 versus 3. That means the turret will not go anywhere for Necrolites.
That was a huge turnaround. Well, the one Necrolite really desperately needed, as they've really kept this game awfully close, and that's something that you got to be very careful. But with standing solo actually kind of baiting the entire side of Rogue down into the jungle and not going down, actually just surprising. Of course, Lyra gives you extra sustain on top of some of the heal you already get from that Aftershock. Definitely going to be very, very difficult to take him out quickly. As he's going to get a little bit extra heal from multiple parts of his kit. And now you're going to see Rogue's got to be a lot more conservative here in how they approach these, knowing that if one wrong move, and Taka's going to be jumping on you.
And it's not hard to make that wrong move either. You know, the window of scope available to Hami to mess up is huge. It's a huge window because of how vulnerable Celeste is, especially against a Black Feather and Taka. With a Lyra, you know, potentially the best healer in the game to try and sustain them through the damage. So Hami's positioning, it has to be immaculate, it has to be perfect almost if they're going to get through. This gold miner looking like it might get stolen, and it does by Necrolite's Rogue, not able to secure it, so now they have to run away. Zibs has taken a huge chunk of damage, so going to look to heal up on this Treant, but currently Necrolites have started, you know, forcing the tempo.
They haven't been able to get much for it, though. They've reclaimed this edge that they need in this game here, with, you see, a 2,000 gold lead. But again, full health tier 1 turret on the side of Rogue, and there's not much that they can do right now to kind of push back Rogue. Necrolite's really just, even though they've got a little bit of an edge here, both teams struggling to get objectives out of these slight advantages.
And actually, I think this is something that Necrolites need to work on. If this was a VG8 match, I feel like the team that has Necrolites composition would have probably punished a lot harder than Necrolites are currently punishing. You know, especially a top-tier VG8 team would certainly have punished harder. So it's something that Necrolites will need to consider to work on, you know. First, of course, they have to make it to the VG8. That's for certain, and they need a reverse sweep to do so. But if they make it there, that is something that they're going to have to practice, is the ability to execute on small advantages, and they've had plenty of them throughout this game. Plenty of chances to get a massive gold swing in their favor that haven't been executed upon. Rogue, they are scaling up this Celeste. They've got her to an Eve, Broken Myth, and Frostburn point, and she's soon going to have an Aegis as well to try and defend herself against standing. No turrets have been taken, the Kraken has spawned. Rogue are still with a shot of being able to burst down the Tucker and Blackfeather before Hami dies.
Yeah, and he actually, surprising, Necrolite disengages completely, deciding not to initiate onto that turret. This has really been an issue for both these teams, is sometimes a little bit more hesitant to be the aggressors, and they don't have enough vision, or they're not quite sure if they've secured the position they need to take something like an objective cleanly without risking the game here. As Riesgo dodging around these Celeste Genesises, and as well as that Impale.
I don't think I've seen Hami use Solar Storm yet either, so...
he is not, no.
Not had the chance to. I feel like Rogue aren't really looking for fights unless they find someone by themselves, as they've attempted to do with Standing in Solo and Riesgo multiple times. This Kraken, probably going to become a sore point. I feel like Necrolites can sustain taking a bit of damage on it. You can see Rogue are just continuously rotating between jungle and lane to try and catch someone out.
And looking, Rogue is to try to push this lane forward again. Still unable to do it without going up against Necrolite there. Nice stun on Riesgo as he takes a little bit of damage. And this looks like Rogue's not really committed to this fight. And look how fast Riesgo goes down. There's the Solar Storm deleting Riesgo. And now they look to take this fight.
Yeah, Standing is in a bit of trouble here, but he gets knocked away from the Impale. Up against the wall, so stun does come through it. He's going to have to go in onto Rogue, but in is not where he wants to be. That's him falling down. Rogue able to find the 1v1v1 fight that they needed to be able to take down this composition that Necrolites had formed, all due to a risky Kraken play that Necrolites were trying to pull off. They had Standing in solo on the Kraken, soloing it. CP Taka with a Storm Crown can do so, but it just didn't work out. Now Rogue have to be very, very careful. They pull this Kraken into the tri-bush to give Junie no vision of it. Means that the steal is super hard with the on point, and Sibs is actually just going to dive forward to prevent it. There it is, Kraken secured by Rogue. Junie will be able to escape for now, but will he be able to escape in general is the real question. Yes, is the answer. But a Kraken for Rogue through some miscalculated plays from the Necrolites.
Yeah, and it's kind of sometimes easy to forget that we are 17 minutes in with no turrets down, as both these teams really unable to make this push. But with a Kraken finally, I think that time has come, as we do see finally Rogue looking now, being aggressive, going on. Look at the change. Wow, I know.
Ria's go just gets bursted. Solar Storm onto Junie does a bit of damage, but this turret is not long for the world, and with Ria's go down, it makes this dive composition from Necrolite so much harder. Junie might even lose his life here. Here comes Standing in Solo to try and provide a bit of force, but they use the fountain immediately to keep everyone alive, and actually, it's going to be Standing in Solo falling. Rogue, they find a second kill and a second turret for themselves, and this Kraken still above HP. They got a minion wave as well. Hammy just getting this treant so they can continue this push, but Rogue, they only need one more victory and they secure their VG8 spot against the Necrolites with a very tough composition indeed. Junie trying to find Hammy, trying to get the execute onto this Celeste. Locked down, but Ria's Go is here to heal him up, and then we'll find the kill onto Hammy indeed. They're going to get a second. Now they have to go take down this Kraken before they lose a Bane Crystal turret. Believe they should be able to, but it's looking a bit dicey now for Necrolites.
Yeah, and actually that's Junie really impressively goes in there, gets those kills. At very least, it does prevent them from taking away their jungle, which would have put them even farther in a hole. You know, a lot of people talk about, oh, well, you only need to take, you need to take 2 crystal turrets when you get Kraken, but sometimes getting Kraken and pushing 1 turret forces the enemy team to focus on that Kraken, opening up their jungle, which is several hundred gold as well. So there's definitely a big advantage of going in, taking them out, preventing that. Staying solo now, he is able to secure his entire jungle without contest.
Kind of the general rule of Kraken is if it gets 2 turrets, gold value wise it was worth, and that got 3 turrets. It got the first, second, and choke point turret. So 100% worth the Kraken. Like, let's not put it down at all. Now, this game does look good for Rogue. Necrolite's kind of looking like they're not playing 100% seriously with their composition, not trying to just focus on Hammy. It is causing a bit of trouble for them. I don't think that we're out of the woods yet for Rogue. I still am hesitant to believe that a Black Feather Tucker and Lyra cannot take down a Celeste. So I'm still very hesitant to believe that Necrolites haven't lost the game yet, that Rogue have taken the series. But we have to see this. The pressure on Necrolites is huge. They need to win every game, including this one, if they're going to stay in this series. Whereas Rogue, they've got a bit of buffer for themselves, so perhaps not as much pressure on their shoulders.
Yeah, we definitely will have to see, because even though composition-wise, you'd expect Necrolites to be able to take out someone quickly or burst down, they've really struggled because we've seen just really good play between both Evol and Sibs. They've been able to bounce the team around, right? You're going in and the Taka's looking to dodge out that core collapse stun, but he has to watch out about being knocked afterburned one way or Githian walled the other way, which can really disrupt how you're approaching your team fight positioning wise. It can really disrupt your entire aggressive play as well. Nice miss, as Taka does miss an impale. That would have been very costly.
Actually, I think kind of a crucial... Oh, we're having a massive fight, actually. So it's going to be Rogue taking a lot of damage. The Solar Storm comes down, but this is exactly where Hammy wants to fight. They stack up, but he goes down in the end. That's going to be them trading Captain for carry, but it doesn't seem like it's going to matter here for Necrolites. They find 2 kills, now looking for the 3rd. Evol will be able to use the Crystal Sentry to secure his life for now, but they're going to dive back on in and take him on down. Standing may lose his life. He gets the heal, he dodges the auto attack, and that will be the ace coming forward for Necrolites. The Kraken's there as well. Necrolites, they make their composition work. This is the kind of hesitant moment, finally giving me a sigh of relief that I'm not just a boosted caster, and actually Necrolites' composition does work against Rogues.
Yeah, they really determined they were going to go for that fight as they rotated down and chased Rogue into their bush there. And of course, with that Crystal Miner coming in and being able to start helping out with the fight, that was pretty risky, right? But at that point, Necrolite convincing themselves that, nope, we need this fight. We need to be the ones aggressing and not allowing the poke from Hammy to stack and surprise us or catch us off guard, as Standing Solo looking to actually go in really deep. A little bit of a misposition here by him, as he's going to have to get out, taking almost over half of his health.
He's going to be able to heal it up, thankfully. That's the kind of great thing that Lyra can do, but This is a dangerous game now for Rogue. Dangerous territory, the Kraken now on the side of Necrolites, and a bit of a minefield to get through, but Standing in Solo going to dodge it on out with his X-Retsu. This turret going to lose its life as Necrolites find one good disengage, though, comes forward from Sibs to make sure that no one goes down. And actually, Judy's locked in. Impale. They're going back onto Hammy, trying to do the work. Hammy, though, he's sustaining and a lot of damage going on to Standing in Solo. He loses his life. And now Necrolite's going to be chased away from this Kraken here, looking for Ria's Go. In fact, if they can find Ria's Go, potentially the death timers are long enough that Rogue can take the game, ignore the Kraken, and march it straight down the lane. And that's exactly what Rogue are going for here, Dragon. They're going to look to try and race the Kraken.
Yeah, this is really risky because you've got 2 turrets, you've got no minions. I don't think that's the right call. Instead, no, they're still looking to do it. And you've got a Black Feather who's going to be able to deal a lot of damage as well with the breaking point. I don't think this is the right call at all, as you got 19 seconds until the Taka comes out. We'll see if it plays off. It's super risky as they go in for this.
Turrets give death timer, it could change the cooldown. Standing in Solo is going to be up before this turret even falls down. A huge mistake if they're not able to take down Junie. They do find the ace, gives them a bit of a heal, but here comes Standing in Solo looking to try and find the kill onto Hammy. Hammy's going low, but so is this turret. I think Rogue may have just done it. Hammy loses his life. Can they find Sips as well? Rias goes here. This is not as clear cut as it looks. Evil's running away. The Kraken is still on the turrets. Let us not forget the Beast is still taking the base here. Evil is able to survive, but the Vein Crystal, she's exposed. And 35 seconds on Hammy. They're going to march it straight down the lane. Rogue may have just given victory to Necrolites.
Yeah, that's why it's a huge risky play when you've got 2 turrets to go through just because of the timing it takes. And the fact that you still had someone up. It was not an ace, and there's no minions to help break that barrier. So right now, Standing Solo is going to be able to clear out this crystal easily, no problem whatsoever. And this is going to be a game going over to Necrolites.
Wow. Okay. So we get the reverse sweep potential. We're going to a 5th game here, Dragonborn. Necrolites have tied the series up 2-2 against Rogue. Potentially the most clear-cut series as far as odds were concerned. Rogue were the team out of all the VG8 teams to potentially take their series the easiest. Necrolites are saying no to that.
Yeah, this is really not the situation they wanted to be in, especially just that last 10 minutes of this game just really played out how this whole series has gone. Back and forth, and really been a roller coaster for everyone watching. I'm sure for these teams as well. So,
you know what the worst part is, Dragon? Both victories from Necrolites, and perhaps less in this game because I feel like Necrolites won the draft hardcore, have been on the backs of bad decision making from Rogue. You know, that attempt to finish the game by Rogue, it showed how desperate they were. They didn't feel like their composition was working anymore, so they went for the all or nothing play, and unfortunately they got nothing. The previous series, a huge gold lead grown by Rogue, thrown away in one single move, which allowed Necrolites to snowball out of control. Rogue are starting to feel pressure, certainly starting to feel pressure right now. They have to win this next game to hold their VG8 slot, whereas Necrolites, they need to take this next game if they want to be in the VG8.
Yeah, this is a real roller coaster here, as you know, we look at just how crazy this back and forth has been. The games have been back and forth. A 24-minute game. We've had such long matches here, and just some of it has just been hesitation by these teams to get these objectives and snowball. We haven't been able to see any of that here tonight. But right now, Rogue, they're moving back over to A side. They have a chance here one more time to close this out and let everybody know, nope, we are quite in. We've earned those 4 points. We deserve to be in the Vainglory 8. But Necrolite looking as they gain momentum here to steal that all the way.
Wow.
It's been...
We've got 2 more game series as well. Like, this is the first series, Dragonborn.
Yeah, so we've been actually talking about that. This is the first. We've had so many delays. There have been so many complications that have come into tonight that have resulted that we are looking at. The schedule may get mixed up a little bit. So we actually are going to take a very, very short break here. When we come back, we'll be getting into that 5th game, but also be updating you guys all on how the schedule is going to play out for the rest of the night. We'll be right back, everybody. Hey everybody, we are back and we're going to get ready for the draft. I think everybody's in ready to go, so we're not going to wait too much longer as we are getting very late and we're still in the first series going to game number 5. So let's jump right into what we've got with Rogue going back onto A side in this draft. We've seen a lot of picks, we've seen a lot of strategies between these two teams, a decent amount. What does Rogue need to do to close this out, Dowsey? Because, so far, they played really well the first 2 games, and they seem to have an answer to what Necrite's done, but Necrite has drafted really well these last 2 matches, especially the last one, and it's been a big issue for Rogue.
I would argue that their draft in Game 3 perhaps was a little bit, novelty, whereas their draft in Game 4 was certainly an outdraft against Rogue. As we get into this lobby, we're actually going to see a Dartier left open by both these teams for the first time. I think that Rogue have kind of lost their chill a little bit. They've kind of starting to panic. You could see it in Game 3 especially. After that, massive throw move, they threw away their massive gold lead, gave Necrites the win. They kind of went, oh crap, we need to do something. We need to win. We need to, close this out. And they started to panic. And I feel like their draft during Game 4 kind of was a result of that. And their, the playmaking ability and decisions was also a result of that. So the Rogue need to calm down. They need to chill and try and get their heads in the right place, because right now the momentum is so much in Necrite's corner that they could just run away with this 3rd game or 5th game.
Yeah, and they're looking to do that. Rona is going to be the next ban. We've actually seen B-Side ban Rona, Necrolite ban Rona twice now, so clearly something they don't want to see. The Fortress ban, we haven't seen Fortress played at all, but gets the nod here as being definitely still a very strong pick here in this meta with the ban.
Yeah, no, and Fortress is very strong, especially considering that the healers were open, so they were prioritized and had to be prioritized by both the teams. Next is the Fortress as like one of those super picks that a team could pick up here on B side. So Rogue, ban it away. I wonder if we see Junie go back to the Vox. Have they won a game with the Vox? I don't believe they have. So it would be perhaps maybe not necessarily a championing pick, but I don't necessarily feel like Junie's Vox is the reason they're losing games. Very interested to see where they go now from this, because with Elira, it's hard to really decide. Glaive has been banned. Perhaps that's where they need to try and get themselves a bit of an advantage. But typically, this is the point where you want to pick up your laner, not your jungler. So it's a hard decision for the Necrolites guys here.
So yeah, I mean, I think that it's not surprising the Necrolite taking some time here, because now with both healers out, it changes all with the Celeste, and I find it interesting. I mean, right now there's still so many picks that Rogue can do now. I think you could actually see with an Adagio leaving open the Black Feather is kind of a mistake by Necrolite, because you could, with a heal, you could definitely get onto the Celeste and take her out, and Black Feather here actually I think would be a great pickup by Rogue. They just saw how difficult it is to deal with a Black Feather in a circumstance where you've got a Celeste. So Rogue.
Yeah, no, I've written it down in my book already that they've picked Black Feather, but they haven't, obviously. Currently, Rogue are considering their options, but you're right. I feel like Rogue made a massive mistake in the previous draft by picking Celeste so early. First rotation is way too early. Second rotation B-side, I feel, is still very early, but perhaps Necrolites didn't want to play against it, even if they put Tucker into the mix.
Yeah, it would have been just so different with no healers being picked, but since both healers are through, there are compositions that do benefit from that extra sustain, Black Feather being one of them. And so I just found that surprising that, you saw I do understand why the Rona was probably banned in this case, right? It's another hero with a lot of sustain where there's healers on the board, but I think ultimately, it's kind of a double-edged sword here. They could have easily had not picked the Celeste, picked something that would have been harder to get on, something with more escape capability, like a Gwen, but instead they are putting it all into the Celeste here.
And Standing Solo has played Standing Solo. This is a mistake I keep making. Sorry so much. Standing Solo has played the CP Scarf in the jungle. So, there's potential that we see that Celeste go into the jungle for Necrolite. Perhaps it could go lane. There is a bit of change there. A Flicker locked in here. Very, very cool stuff. Means the Adagio likely to go into the lane. Or jungle. It could still go into the jungle, but likely the lane here. Does remove the ability to go Black Feather, perhaps, if the Adagio isn't in the jungle. We've got 9 seconds on our bonus time. A Glaive locked in. Likely for the jungle here for Rogue. A very, very surprising composition.
Yeah, indeed. And I think that, definitely not what I was expecting. This does mean that we're likely going to see a CP Adagio in the lane. As in the Glaive, the Weapon Glaive, which did work out. I mean, Weapon Glaive did do a lot of damage as when it was last played here in the series. Necrolite now with the final pick, 25 seconds and counting to make this call. And take a look at it. I do like Rogue having an ability to get back, and a Glaive will be able to get on top of that Celeste, but not as slippery as a Taka or a Black Feather.
Yeah, no, certainly isn't. Vox locked in as well here for the side of Necrolite. So Junie going back into this Fox position means that it is going to be standing solo, taking the Celeste into the jungle. As I thought, wow, this is some exciting stuff, Dragon. This is the 5th game of our first Challenge Battles series. Rogue versus Necrite. Rogue trying to defend their VG8 spot, but one game will decide whether they're able to, or whether we have a new face in the North American VG8.
Yeah, and we do see Necrite is going to be back with the Vox, something that was not very successful in the early part of this series. We'll see if they can finally find a way to make it work here. When I look at how this composition is going to work out, I really do favor Rogue here in this case, Dalcy. They have the ability to get on top of the Celeste, to get behind Celeste here. The Flicker is going to be insanely very difficult to manage as far as his ability to harass in the lane and the jungle. And I think paired with the Glaive, it's going to be very difficult here for at least the early part of the game for Necrite.
Wow, yeah, this is hard to say. I don't want to make predictions on team compositions anymore, Dragon, because I feel like the teams are playing with my ability to do analysis. I'm a play-by-play caster. I'm not meant to be doing analysis. That's the job of my color caster. But unfortunately, Tasty Bacon is preoccupied right now. So we're doing our best. Let's just leave it at this, Dragon. This game is everything.
For Rogue, this game, and for Necrite, is absolutely everything. You nailed it. And I honestly have to say that I've been impressed with what Rogue has done with the compositions. They've played really well at most times, and it's just been a few slightly difficult, like some of the positioning with some of their compositions have become problematic. Even in the games they won, they did risk giving over a lot to Necrite, based on overextending, pushing too far with a Kraken, or overextending in the jungle, as we saw a couple times here tonight. Well, into this game we go, as we look to close this series out, finally, with the final match between Rogue and Necrite. And right away, Rogue's jumping in here, looking to make a mark.
Yeah, Sib's just going to make a beeline for this Treant, as Rias go looking like he'll forward a hammy. First blood goes their way very smoothly. And actually, the Celeste standing solo, making his way to the backs because he knows that Rogue are going to steal away these from him. So looking to get a bit of gold. Hammy going to stay in the lane, which means that standing solo should be able to take away the backs safely thereabouts. But a good early start from Rogue shows that they're feeling confident once more.
Yeah, and already Hammy at 700 gold because of that first kill, and then able to go up to the lane without losing out much of his CS as well. He's going to at least put him in a really good spot. You're going to see it's going to be pretty close between Sibs and Junie, and standing solo. Both pretty even here on CS, which I think right now will favor Sibs a little bit.
Yeah, you'd think so, based on the fact that Weapon Power Glaive will be able to do a lot of damage to standing solo. He's going to be in a bit of trouble here. The Afterburn, though, unfortunately, doesn't quite knock standing solo into a wall. Means he's not going to lose his life now. But you do see Evolve kind of stealthing on up, trying to cause a bit of trouble and perhaps steal away a camp. Junie on this Vox, something we haven't really talked too much about. I actually think Junie's Vox is fairly decent. Don't get me wrong. I think he's played a fairly good Vox through these series. I don't think it's something that's going to be an insta loss for Necrite based on the fact they've lost with Vox twice in a row. Standing in solo is really the wild card that I'm not sure about on this Celeste. Currently, though, things fairly standard for everyone. A matchup with so much importance. Game 5 of a best-of-5 series. Winner into the VG8. Perhaps for Necrites, it will be them making their second entry as an organization. Rogue, a new organization into the Vainglory scene. Certainly wouldn't be wanting to drop down into the Challenger series.
Yeah, I agree, Dalcy. Sorry for that, a little hanging you out there as we look to try to look this match just taking over. It's really close again. Necrite doing a good job at keeping these things very close. It's actually been really challenging for Rogue to just surprise right out of the gate, Necrolite. Necrolite finding ways to keep themselves within striking distance always. And can be very problematic. You see, nice job by Evolve to jump onto Riezgo there as they look to get another kill. Riezgo already 2 deaths. Now, you know, definitely not the worst case scenario for Necrolite, but clearly an issue where they're able to just get these early aggressive kills here, helping out Hammy in the gold department as he's already at 1,400 gold here with several tier 2 items to boot.
I'm a big fan of CP Adagio carry as well. I think it does so much work and can just put out so much sustained damage, especially if Hammy plays it well. And you can see that Hammy has been favoring the CP laners throughout this series as well. Says that he's feeling very happy that 2.3 has made its way over, and perhaps the weapon power carries aren't a thing that's prioritized as hard. It looks like Riezgo in trouble once more. Bright work just not good enough, and Hammy will find his 3rd kill. Rogue have got a massive early lead, 1,000 gold, they've stolen away camps. Now they're in a position where actually, if they continue this snowball, they should be able to take the series. Another knockback, that's going to be standing solo taken down. Junie's actually going to fall as well, I think. And one more auto attack, not going to find the damage. Oh, a little minion, but it is going to be Riezgo with the Imperial Sigil to keep him alive. This is some massive dominance coming from Hammy and his team.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Adagio CP as well, and you see the value of him, the sustain he gives his team, as well as being able to dish out so much, and even his burn, just his burn. Even though there's been a lot of nerfs to Adagio in the past 2 updates, it's still a hero that when you mechanically know how to play him at the highest level, could really turn the tides of a fight. And we're seeing so far in the early game 4-0. This is the Rogue I think many of us expected to see to show up here. But so often we've seen Rogue struggle into the late game. And that's where we really need to focus to see how they play. Because right now they are doing a great job here in the early game.
Yeah, I think all 4 series, it's safe to say Rogue has played a fantastic early game. I don't remember a series where Necrolites pulled massively ahead in the early game and Rogue had to fight back, claw their way out of a deficit. Actually, it's been Rogue ahead all 4 games we've seen so far, and Necrolites have managed to be able to come back in 2 of them. So, you know, nothing out of the ordinary so far for Necrolites. In fact, this is kind of, you know, how they've played all games so far. It's this late game, like you mentioned, that Rogue seems to struggle. Riezgo, though, he's not having a fun game. He gets bursted by Sibs, and Hammy just caught out of position. And you can kind of see the difference it's making. He is level 4, is about to hit level 5, but actually Evo was close to getting this Mooncloak as well. Rogue are going to have a massive ultimate advantage, and they're looking for another kill onto Standing. Going to come forward. Look, can they get Junie as well? He's knocked the wrong direction. And actually Sib's going to take a bit of damage from this turret. Trying to drop the aggro. Can't quite manage it. There it is.
Just barely gets out of it too. He's going to take a little bit extra pot shots from Junie, but this turret still hanging in there, but taking a beating. As Rogue looking to try to make something happen here. I actually that was a huge misstep though by Sips. He really should have focused on the turret. I mean, they needed to get these objectives instead of the kill. I understand why he wanted it, and he did a good job at positioning between those 2 turrets to try to avoid the double aggro, and then of course avoiding the kill from the turret finally. But I really want to see Rogue just put the pressure on these objectives instead of the kills.
They've got themselves a 2,000 gold lead, which is fairly strong at 7 minutes here, and they've got themselves a massive experience lead. Evo is a couple of seconds away from unlocking that Mooncloak, and with a lack of vision, lack of scout traps on the map here for Riezgo, it does mean that Necrolites are going to be in trouble. Not to mention, Riezgo hasn't been able to prioritize a contraption early because he's been forced down this fountain.
Yeah, he's been
backline. So Necrolites trying to find a kill to Hammy. He is able to sustain through it all though. And Rogue going to pick themselves up with Gold Miner, not even lose anything for it.
Yeah, nice job by Sibs to get the security. Almost stolen by that Sigil as Riezgo is going to get taken out again. This guy is just having an awful game as he continues to absorb the majority of the kills for his team.
Mooncloak straight onto Standing solo. He goes down without a hitch, and Junie will fall a clean ace for Rogue, and you can see them starting to storm away. 8 minutes, 9 kills. The pressure on Necrolites was too much, and Rogue, well, I don't know what they said during our little break, Dragon, but they have certainly got their heads in the right place.
Yeah, this objective is going to be taken. One of the earliest turrets we've seen all series, especially for Rogue. Just it's nice to see them able to stick this together. We saw it actually in the first game, in a couple games. They were able to time their abilities better together. They were able to play very cohesively. Necrolite definitely being the thorn in their side for the majority of these series, as just disrupting that playstyle in the last 2 games. But right now, Rogue looking very poised. Compared to how we've seen them the last couple of games.
Certainly are looking very poised. A massive change. Look at the movement speed that Rogue are prioritizing as well. War Treads picked up for Evo. Second item after the Fountain and Hammy. Journey Boots locked in. Third item after the alternating current.
Riesgo
once more locked down. Has his portal, has the movement speed, but he's not going anywhere. Caught out and nowhere to run. Standing solo also not in a position where he can easily make it back to the turret to defend, so going to have to port back. Necrolites are starting to crumble. Don't know if it's Rogue just turning the heat up to max or if it's just the pressure mounting up too much. Should be another turret going down here for Rogue.
Well, I will say that it really has been a great performance so far by Rogue. They, again, really love to see them just go completely on, avoid the kills and go on for those objectives. They're in a little bit of a tight spot here, Dowsey, as you do see that Crystal Miner showing up right as all of Necrolite shows up.
Certainly, but it does look like the movement speed that Rogue prioritized in their previous buy will come up trumps. They've got tier 3 boots on everyone but Sibs, and tier 1 boots on everyone of Necrolites. So yeah, movement speed OP means they get out alive, and the gold miner going to be their reward here, as Necrolites are not in a position to contest. The gold just snowballing at this point. A 6,000 gold lead here for Rogue at 10 minutes. They've got a kill per minute as it currently stands. Necrolites are being forced into a position where a comeback would be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, and so far it's been just a complete reversal from what we've seen all series. Now Rogue needs to make sure they just keep this together. We don't want to see, I mean, if you're Rogue, you just don't want to see the kind of collapse that they've notoriously had. But when I look at the composition from Necrolites, it doesn't pose the same kind of issues that they had last time. I mean, you still are able to jump on that Celeste, whereas Scarf is going to be able to poke from a much farther distance here. Staying solo does hit level 9 though, so the extra range coming in is going to be effective at poking. And you see Junie having to buy infusions because he is a little bit behind as well, with only 2 tier 3 items.
Just Crystal Sentry, Minion Candy on top of it, but will not last very long. This is the best of 5 that's gone down to the wire. We're almost at a 3-hour mark, Dragon, of this series starting. I believe it started at 2:40 Pacific.
Yeah, we did start late.
We're currently, a couple hours from then. So these guys have been playing for a long time, and it's fair to say that exhaustion is starting to set in, and this is where the experienced players shine because they have a bit more mental fortitude to their names. Riesgo is currently struggling. 0-6, he's the main target, and you can see they just continue to put Moon Cloak on top of him, and there's nowhere for him to run. It's just, normally you do that to a carry, but they go, no, Riesgo will die, and so it means that there's no heal coming forward for the very vulnerable front line that Necrolites have drafted. Junie's standing at this turret, but what can he do against 3? Rogue with 12 kills at 12 minutes, looking to find a choke turret.
And then just completely annihilating the side again and getting this final turret. This is the fastest we've seen this choke turret get damaged here in this series, as very few of these games have been quick. Very long and extensive, grueling matches between these two teams. And Rogue this time not being overly aggressive here, backing away before they have to start dealing with another phase. Sib's pretty low on energy too, so that was probably the right call, as they're going to move in, out, just take out the farm and get ready for the next stage of attack here. But right now, with a lot of damage on that choke turret, Rogue is in great shape here as we get into the mid to late game.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. Rogue disengage when there's a single possibility that a fight might not go their way. They've got 2 minutes until the Kraken spawns, and what they're looking to do right now, Dragonborn, is get to a point where there's no way that Necrolites can contest the Kraken. They've already got that choke point turret to a point, like you said, that it's likely to go down, which means that the Kraken will push into the base and start damaging those crystal turrets, and Necrolites are unlikely to be ready for that whatsoever. So a minute and a half to this Kraken spawns, and you can know that Rogue will either set up a bait, a trap, and look for a fight to just ace Necrolites and push and win, or they will just take the Kraken away. There's great vision set up so that they have all the options available to them.
Absolutely, and it looks like with this clearing of the jungle, they're going to be able to continue to just expand this gold lead as it approaches 10,000. And that's a very substantial gold lead, even especially at 14 minutes to have that kind of lead. Almost 1,000 gold per minute of the game, over 10 minutes that you have, really. So really, really impressive here by Rogue as they look to close this out, the series out. And it's just surprising that they finally found the game they needed. The composition, although good, is not necessarily particularly any better than what they've had. They've drafted well, but just playing phenomenally. And I think real surprising is Evolve on this Flicker has been playing very well.
Certainly has. I think this is the first time we've seen Evolve's Flicker competitively this season, and it's certainly fairly well played so far. You can see he's been taking some notes on how to play it. We've hit that 15-minute mark as well. In 5 seconds, the Kraken, she spawns onto the Halcyon Fold. And this is where Rogue get to start to nail that final nail, and they're setting up a bait. They want to go for the fight rather than the Kraken. Riasgo going to recall. They're starting to set in, try and lay a trap. Will they go for the Kraken or will they go to the fight? Doesn't really matter. Either way, Rogue are likely to win in every scenario.
Yeah, and Evol doing a good job at just trying to juke out, keeping Necrolites at bay. They are going to pull in the Solar Storm ultimate comes through. It's only a level 2 ultimate. Not going to be able to. And look at it, Rogue. They don't even need the Kraken here. They decide to try to turn, but they're getting just decimated here with damage. They've got a fountain. A fountain has to be actually used, and Sibs was out of range, so not able to take advantage of it. As they're looking to try to
come back in. Trying to re-engage this fight. Hammy doing the work and healing up. Standing will fall. Junie, nowhere for him to go. Kind of a big deal. There you can say that again as he finds his 10th kill this game. Rogue, they find 2. They're going to look to take the Kraken. In fact, they're looking for Riasgo and they know exactly where he is. So going to hunt down this Lyra. They've got the movement speed to do so, as well as Evo is tasked with finishing off his opposite number and finish him off. He will. A nightmare. In fact, it's Hammy who gets the kill with a burn, believe it or not. And that is going to be the ace and the Kraken for Rogue.
Right, and with minions pushed up, you're going to see this turret is slowly going to start to creep down. He's not going to get knocked out here, but it means he's going to be nearly destroyed as we approach, as the Kraken approaches it. And this is it probably for Rogue here, looking to finally close out this series. And it's going to be a long one at that. Just Necrolite giving everything they got to Rogue, putting them through a very grueling series here. But the Vainglory team showing the better endurance, showing the stronger hero pool as they look to finish this out.
This should be the last push for Rogue. In theory, if they are able to push on in, then it's going to be very hard for Necrolites to defend. The Kraken, she hits the choke turret and will fall at this 17-minute mark. Now Rogue going to push into the base. Kraken is going down quite quickly. One good thing about Celeste is she does do a lot of damage as she stacks up those Hilo Genesis into Supernovas. So the Kraken, in fact, will not secure Rogue any crystal turrets, and the kind of dance-off does continue. Let's look at items. Let's just recap for a second, Dragon. We've got standing solo in a position where almost at a 0.3 damage item point. The Even Harvest is a little bit off, but the Broken Myth and Frostburn is there. Junie has hit his breaking point double Tyrant's Monocle. So, in theory, Necrolites are starting to hit some damage points.
Yeah, and they've been in this position actually before, and we've seen them able to. They didn't win that game when they were able to hit a power spike and do a lot of damage, but they can be potent here, and Vox can definitely be potent if he gets that breaking point stacks up. So it's definitely going to be on to the side of Rogue to be very careful how they select their team fights and the position they're in. You don't want to get caught in a compromising position here. The vision game's starting to improve on the side of Necrolite, so they're not going to get surprised as earlier before with that flicker ultimate. So I will really have to wait and kind of see how that all plays out as we're starting to move into 18 minutes. Now this game, one that where Rogue really was dominant in the early part, is starting to like work and move back in favor of Necrolite here. So we'll see how they play it.
It's a slim hope, I think, for Necrolites, but maybe that's all you need to win a series off Rogue. 19 minutes. The tempo that Rogue has built up starting to slow. It is an 11,000 gold lead, but as we do start to hit some of these crucial points, damage is starting to exist for Necrolite. It all comes down to their positioning, their vision, and Rogue's ability to win. Currently Rogue, all set up.
Yeah, looking to try to surprise the side of Necrolite here. As you're going to see Necrolite actually moving, just really worried about as the Kraken respawns.
They're coming in. There's vision. Necrolite will know this, but can they escape is the question. Can they build the distance? Good, bright bulwark. But Sibs has dived in, and Stan and Solo going to get knocked into a dangerous. He's dead. Hammy's looking for Junie. Junie's running. He's not looking to lay down any more damage. There's no way that they survive this for sure. As Hammy comes in, Rizgo going to be knocked up, stunned, and a kill goes Sib's way. Junie, the last man alive, and they're looking for the ace here, Dragon. They're looking to finish this one up. Junie will go down, a double for Sibs, and Hammy's doing this Kraken, but will they take the Kraken, or are they just going to look to finish here?
I mean, the minions are so far pushed, I can't imagine why you would go for Kraken in this circumstance. You're just giving more...
Because they threw last time.
No, but they didn't have minions last time. They've got minions and nobody. So you're going to see Sibs. He is going to move across. He's going to finish out this turret. You see the minions would probably have gotten the turret by themselves. Sibs likely not needed. The standing solo does show up to clear out that wave. There's the Solar Storm a little too late to do anything about this Kraken. Just putting a little bit of damage on him. And now you're going to see Rogue with the final game push, potentially. I say potentially, but it's very likely this is it. Rogue played well. Ultra conservative decision by them, right? Like where they decide not to just go for the steal. If for whatever reason they don't end the game up, they are going to give another 500 gold into the pockets of Necrolite. So this is somewhat risky.
Each as well. It's not just 500 gold, it's 1,500 gold in total. So a substantial amount for the team. And actually, this Kraken looks like it might even go down before it hits the turret. No, it's not. Okay,
no,
here comes.
They're going to get this turret down, but
wanted to go for it now. Hammy, Stan just got bursted. He went nowhere. Junie trying to lay down the damage, but that is it. The nail in the coffin has been sealed. And unfortunately for Necrolites, they will not be able to make their way into the VG8 despite taking us to 5 games. Rogue secure their spot.
Wow, what a series finale, and what a series overall for Rogue as they were taken to the absolute brink here in this series, and really struggling for some of those matches, but closing it out, taking the very conservative path here at the end with the Kraken, but getting the victory, and now they are in position to take this series. They're going back to the Vainglory 8 with the 4 points that they came into this challenge battles with. And Necrolite is going to be moving back down to the Challenger Series to work their way back through split number 2.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff from Rogue. I think that's the one challenge battle series that most people would have predicted would go Rogue's way. But Necrolites, they were a wild card that I don't think many people saw coming.
Yeah, and they really played well. I mean, they played well. Keep in mind, Necrite is a team that has won against One Piece 101 and Liberation. They played very well, getting knocked down. Oh, well, actually, they didn't beat up Liberation, but, they did play very well, surprising a lot of teams. So that's the real surprise here, is the Necrite is a really good team. Definitely going to keep an eye on them next challengers as they make their way through it. We are going to take a quick break as we get ready for the next series, as these teams have been waiting very patiently, so we don't want to wait much longer. We'll be seeing how we do as we get into series number 2. It's going to be Misfits versus One Piece 101 up next. Welcome back, everybody, as we get ready for our next series. It has been a long time coming, and these teams have been waiting patiently as we get ready, and it is, of course, going to be Misfits versus One Piece 101. And Dowsey, you know, we've been through a long series already, but we are just really getting started here as we get into the second one. This one's definitely going to be one to excite, as it looks like everyone's ready to go, so I don't see much delay. But a little bit about One Piece 101, Dowsey, as we get into this, is they were the number 1 seed, but they definitely struggled in the last week of challengers to get knocked down to losers, only to come right back and win it all.
Yeah, no, they ran the gauntlet, as did I believe it was Lemon and Lime in EU. They also ran the gauntlet as far as being knocked into the losers bracket to only win the challenge battles in the end. The challenge series in the end. So incredible stuff from this first seed. However, Lemon and Lime, they were not able to make their way into the European VG8 as they picked a pretty tough opponent. Not gonna lie, they picked Rising Lotus, who was certainly a team that you really got to back yourself if you think you can take them down. A lot of people saying things about this series, Misfits versus One Piece 101. A lot of people are backing One Piece 101 to make their way into the VG8 here. I'm not sure if I am fully on board with the idea yet, but this is really, really on One Piece 101 to prove themselves.
Yeah, I'm not either. I think Misfits, really has had a really tough schedule. They've played Hammer's Velocity, Team Solo Mid, and Cloud9. And of course, those are very, very dominant, very strong teams. And so you would look at those games and say, all right, maybe it's not so good. As we do see One Piece 101 allows the Adagio through, so Misfits is going to pick that up right away. And that gives One Piece 101 the Fortress. So it is going to be the first Fortress we're seeing actually being played. And
that's really exciting here. I will just you in on a secret. I'm not in the draft just yet. I'm trying to make my way in as quickly as possible.
Well, I'll let you know.
Unfortunately,
how it goes. One thing I do want to mention to everybody is it is Lost Boy Toph playing here tonight. It is not Pauly. Not that Pauly can't do it, but they've been swapping these roles back and forth, and it's really been like in these key situations and these really huge moments, they've started with Toph. And I say started because what's important to know is against Necrite, One Piece 101 actually replaced Toph with Pauly for game number 3 to help secure them that victory. So, both these supports are absolutely phenomenal, but it looks like in some of these key moments they're starting with Toph at the very least.
And, I did talk to Pauly a little bit before this series started and said, hey, mate, what's the plan here? Are we going to see Toph come in? Is it going to be you playing from the start here? He said, we might see Pauly come in at some point, but there's been a lot of drama. Anyone who's been on Twitter has seen, King, he's been dishing it out, Exhale, of course, towards Pauly and saying, when you're in trouble, you can always call on Lost Boy Toph to pull you out of it. So a lot of back and forth, but actually, this drama, it sparks from the VIS. From, VIS Pro in winter, where an off-stream game between Fate Zero and One Piece 101, where apparently Fate Zero, which became Misfits, was hugely in the lead, thrown away, and then One Piece 1 brought it back, and since then One Piece 101 has said, we can make it into the Vainglory, we're better than Misfits. Well, King, he's got a bit of bad blood, and he wants to prove himself.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what we have with this draft so far. It's really been one to excite, and we see the Fortress with the Glaive. So this is almost insurably means that we will get a support Fortress. Well, I take that back. That's incorrect. I mean, it could be very likely a Crystal CP Fortress with the support Glaive. But these two in tandem will be very aggressive. You expect right out of the gate to see them charging full speed ahead. They're going to be very quick as well. But Misfits pulling out a Rona.
Well, that's very interesting. A little bit of a secret as well. We'll have to see if it comes out, but I'll talk about it as we get into game. This is going to be a really interesting draft for Misfits, having that Rona, Adagio, and Arden, so much ability for them to keep the Rona healthy. Obviously going to be an Adagio in the lane most likely, and a Kestrel locked in as the final pick makes things very exciting as well. So that means it will be a CP Glaive in the jungle most likely. Perhaps in the captain role we see a CP Fortress, but most certainly a weapon power Kestrel here for Selena Gomez.
Yeah, and that will be definitely one to see how we play out if we get that CP Fortress or not. As we're going to be getting into the game, this game should be starting now as we get into game number 1 between Misfits and One Piece 101. And we know both these teams were really anxious to start, and so, a little bit of a delay here as just a slight delay getting ready for tonight, but we're right into it, looking to try to get right back on schedule.
Yes, just unfortunately a player disconnect from the lobbies. So we're trying to get into the game as soon as possible, and I'm sure both teams are very eager. Such a long, hard-fought battle between Rogue and Necrolites to go to 5 games. Rogue able to secure their slot, and of course these teams have been looking in from the outside as they know they're up next. That's when the anticipation starts to get to you, when you should have been starting a couple of bits ago and actually waiting for your series. So we are getting into it, but it's going to be exciting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. This one, I think a lot of anticipation on how Misfits are going to play and how they're going to take this game right to 101. We've seen 101, we've seen good 101, we've seen not so good 101, so really kind of excited.
What are you trying to say there?
No, they've had games, they struggled against Necrolites, but now we can see clearly why. Necrolites not a team to take lightly, not at all.
Sure.
And
I like it. Nice recovery. No, I'm joking.
But they've had games where they've, even with Lost Boy, they've had their ups and downs. They've not played necessarily the cleanest, and they've had a few weeks now after week number 4, week and a half now, to just focus on their gameplay, focus on how they're going to come into this challenge battle here today and close this split out.
And actually, that's the really exciting thing is, so has Misfits. And you may be looking at this and going, I've been watching a bit of VG8. Why is King on the Rona and Illust on the Adagio? These guys have decided to role swap, and actually look at this. They've caught Selena Gomez trying to rotate to the backs, and are they going to be able to find the kill is the question. Selena Gomez going very low, and one more auto attack should be able to do it. And yes, First Blood will go to Illust. Illust is now playing carry for this team. They kind of experimented it during week 1, I believe it was, of the VG8. They had Illust in the carry role, King in the jungle position. Then they switched Illust into the jungle, and talking to King about what their preparation was for this series up against One Piece 101, he said Illust isn't performing in the jungle role. He's going up against the big names of Von C, Xenotech, I Love Joseph, all these guys that can carry from the jungle, and he's feeling threatened by them, and he's not making plays because of it. Whereas King, his ego is as big as his biceps, so he's looking to go in and just annihilate the jungle. And I really like this switch up. It gives a lot of mentality to Misfits, but Donkey DeLuffy may just lose his life. This aggressive play looking like it will not pay dividends to One Piece. A second kill goes Misfits' ways.
Yeah, and a nice way to kind of come into the, even with the engage. Adagio has that early burst health and sustain and can really change the fight. Plus, all of his team was there, ready to back him up, and already Misfits looking really good. It is, of course, that support fortress. It's not the carry fortress, so you don't have to worry about that. But in the jungle already, King continuing to dish out damage as he looks to take this jungle away from 101 and start to take a little bit of control here. It's going to be putting DeLuffy, forcing him to kind of move over to the other side. But look at Illust, seeing that ahead of time, comes down here to face Monkey DeLuffy, preventing him from taking this farm.
Yeah, it's really nice to see Misfits playing proactively and aggressively, and it's all through this jungle carry lane role swap that King and Illust have pulled out. So really impressive stuff so far from Misfits. They got the 2-0 on the scoreboard, but they need to convert those into actual objectives, actual advantages. It's a 500 gold lead, great stuff. Let's see where they can go from it.
Well, we did see Rogue struggle with that exactly, right? Until the final game where they just completely dominated the early objectives. They struggled to take objectives early. Misfits now, they have an opportunity here to see if they can take that experience from Vainglory 8 that they've been going up against these teams, scrimming constantly, and then play very cleanly with a very clear focus. The focus has to be on just, again, hitting their power spikes and getting these objectives. They have the ability. And Rona, it's actually cool to see Rona coming out. We saw it banned twice against Rogue, so interesting to finally see it make it. Clearly, these teams know something about how Rona can be played that it's definitely difficult to run into.
Yeah, no, it's a super strong pick in 2.3, it seems, and I'm sure we'll see even more of it as this patch goes on. King finds Monkey D. Luffy in his own jungle and forces him to play very, very scared Lost Boy Toph on this fortress, trying to provide a bit of, I guess, protection to both lane and jungle at the same time, dodging back and forth. The jungle intensifies. It means that King's ability to steal camps becomes a little bit harder. He has to be a little bit more sure of himself. But alternating current has been completed here for Illis very early on, 4 minutes in. The fountain, I believe, is ready to go as well for Eco as soon as he makes his way down to the shop. Misfits, they have a huge power spike coming to them. Let's see if they're able to make it, a huge advantage as well.
Right, and Rona, kind of like how we saw with the Black Feather, has the ability to sustain these fights as you see him building to that Eve of Harvest already. And with an Adagio, that just makes that's Rona even more deadly here as we get farther and farther into the game. So far, really like what we see out of Misfits. One Piece 101 now, a little bit behind, but still nothing to worry about just yet.
Yeah, nothing to worry about indeed. They've still got a lot of things available to them if they, want to go for a fight. The fortress does kind of mean that they are a do or die a little bit, do or die. There's no or kind of thing. They kind of just have to go in. But I guess the glaive does provide a bit of peel for the Kestrel, which is super needy. So One Piece 101, they've got a composition that will allow them to team fight. They're definitely capable of. They're going to struggle, I think, to peel King off of them. It's going to be on Monkey D. Luffy to really be that peel bot that the CP glaive or utility glaive can become. Yeah,
we'll just have to see kind of how quickly he can get into that and play it effectively, because so far not too effective. He's down away from his team. Oh wow, Dalsy.
So much damage. Monkey D. Luffy does come in. They're looking to try and find a kill, and actually they will. The turret gets one last auto attack off. Well, turret shot off, then that will be the trade coming forward for One Piece 101. But this wave still pushing into the turret. Illis still finding advantages over Selena Gomez. The gold lead is almost at 1,000 now for Misfits.
Yeah, it's very sizable lead too. No objectives yet, but and unfortunately because of that kill, they were not able to continue pushing that lane like they might have wanted to. So they're forced to, of course, go back to farming. But what this means when you see, and I actually love seeing the two carries jungle together here as they rotate up to the lane, gives them a lot more XP and gold between the two. And Eco just going to hang out, pushing. Or ensuring this wave does not move into the turret. Just kind of keeping an eye on the lane here. So Dalsy, yeah.
The way a captain is able to manipulate a lane is such a huge unspoken quality for captains. Being able to set up last hits under turrets for the carry, so that the carry can maximize their farm, being able to keep the lane in a position where, the carry will not lose out in any farm as well. And you can see they're currently doing it here. The heal onto Eco so he can continue tanking them. In fact, it's Illis tanking them, so he heals himself. And no CS is lost. Not only that, Illis has gained himself extra gold by getting the ambient gold from the jungle. Now, a good rotation for One Piece means that they're able to secure that gold miner with the Storm Crown, but Misfits, they're looking to try and move on in and force something here.
There's that active camo down, though it's not going to be able to be a factor as Monkey does rotate to his backs, trying to secure his jungle as they actually evened up this gold lead over that. A lot of that had to do with just Misfits was not able to push any objectives whatsoever and really just allowing One Piece 101 to kind of go through their rotations and clear up their farm effectively, clear out the lane. That's evened it up somewhat. So The advantage they had early, it is gone, so this is essentially an even match. Minus the kills, of course, but gold and objectives wise. Also the gold miner that they did take definitely helped One Piece 101 kind of secure that.
Yeah, no, any gold that One Piece 101 can get when they don't actually have to take a fight around it, that's huge for them. So really nice rotations coming forward, and it means the gold is neck and neck as we hit this 8-minute mark. The tempo of the game does start to die down a little bit. I'll have to see where we go next. That's a great pickup, I think, for Rona, the Shimmer Steel, to slow down with the auto attacks, going to allow him, King, to stick to Selena Gomez, who's most likely that priority target that he will be wanting to jump onto.
Yes, as one shot, one kill just come out. So far, it's really been somewhat now a passive game. The aggressiveness from Misfits has died down a little bit, which is, I really think it's unfortunate. You see that the Serpent's Mask coming out from King as he does build more tanky around it.
It has the heals, I guess, as well, coming from the Adagio. Substantial heals as well, because it's a carry Adagio, a lot of peel from Eco, so it doesn't need to go full defensive on the Rona, can actually prioritize a lot of damage, which I think has kind of come through. Serpent's Mask, very standard. Shimmer Steel will continue to allow him to, you know, spin to win on top of a carry, but Misfits, they showed so much proactive play through the early game, and it kind of feels like their ability to actually take this turret, well, I'm not seeing it just yet, because they're not wanting to dive straight on in for a fight. If they spot Selena Gomez going back, I don't know if they did, they might look for something here, as they know the Castro isn't around.
Yeah, they're looking to go in here and try to get this objective down here. Taking a lot of turret shots. King does end up taking a few, but survives that. A lot of sustain already from this Rona, which that's kind of what you kind of were hoping for here with to see that composition. So right now, Echo almost getting dropped here. And this One Piece 101 able to push Misfits completely back.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake coming out of Misfits, mistiming some abilities. King used his into the fray as he got knocked back. Oh, Monkey to Luffy misses the afterthrow. They're going to go in for this. They're going to look for the fight. Gauntlet Walls go down. Crucible too early. They're stuck in this. They're stuck in with King, but can they find the kills? It's Eco already gone down.